What's going on? I'm Russ Attitude, and this is the You Want It, You Got It podcast. Today, across from me, I have Kevin. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, good. And if for those who don't know, Kevin is a local drummer in a band called Modern Primate and local photographer. So, Kevin, what brought you to old Clark's Vegas?
The military did.
The military. That seems to be a popular thing.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. How long were you in the military?
I was in for 7 years.
7 years. What'd you do?
I was a tow truck driver, mechanic.
Okay. Mechanic, yeah.
A lot of convoys.
Yeah. How long you been in Clarksville?
Including the military, I got here in 2013.
2013.
Yeah.
Okay. So about 15 years? No,
almost
11 years.
11 years.
My math is pretty bad.
I've been out for 8 years. My VA doc told me that. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Where were you at before Clarksville?
Germany.
Oh, where at?
Mm-hmm. I was in Kaiserslautern.
Okay, yeah. I was K-Town, right?
Yep.
I was in Stuttgart.
Oh,
and,
nice.
When I was there in 88, 89, 90. My stepdad was obviously in the military at that point.
They have the best beer fest I've ever been to in my life. And
Dude,
I've been to Munich.
Yeah.
And Stuttgart was 10 times better.
I mean, we used to drink Hofbrau and that was Stuttgart or Hofbrau, because I think Hofbrau is made in other places too, but I remember Stuttgart or Hofbrau. But I loved living in Germany. It was a great time because I was there at the right age.
Yep.
You know, we were stationed at this place called Nelligen, which is no longer there. They gave it back to the Germans, and they took all the military housing and turned it into apartments. And of course, they look amazing. You know? But I didn't do a whole lot of Germany. I mean, we went to Frankfurt and K-Town because of high school stuff and ROTC and whatnot. But did you enjoy Germany?
Yeah, I did a fair amount of running around in Frankfurt. Alt-Sachsenhausen. Have you ever gone there? So Alt-Sachsenhausen, this was like one of the last times I ever went that my friend they were doing like a roller derby thing. Okay. We went out there for that. And these locals were just like, oh, well, you got to come to this bar with us. And it was just off of a regular road. It was this little cobblestone, and it opened up into all these different cobblestone alleyways, and it's nothing but bars.
Wow.
They have a bar for everything. They have metal, they have blues, they have jazz, and there was something for everybody. Everybody's just drinking outside, and it was probably the coolest place I had been in Germany.
Germany is a pretty cool place. You said metal and stuff. They do have like metal clubs and
industrial, with like the sparks and all that stuff. Oh yeah.
Yeah, when that's when I got into metal, was living in Germany. I got introduced because you're introduced to a lot of different style people from all over the U.S. and all over the place, and I got my first taste of metal, and my mom's friend's son brought over 2 records, and Justice for All, and Number of the Beast.
Nice.
And at that time, I was not into metal. I was into hip hop, like, because it was the 80s. It was like LL Cool J, and Kool D, Run DMC, that kind of shit, And he puts on Metallica, and I'm like, what the fuck is this crap, And because it was black and comes on, like, then he puts on Number of the Beast, and I was like, I don't really like this. Well, he's leaving, and I'm like, you mind leaving those records? And then he left, and I sat there, and I was like, all right, okay, all right, yeah, this is fucking awesome shit. So then when I saw him next, I was like, what else you got for me? Gave me Bark at the Moon, just opened me up for all kinds of stuff. Then I just went down the rabbit hole. You know?
I think Injustice was a pretty pivotal one for me too, because I had been into like the hair metal, anything you could like on the radio, which was like Def Leppard was just shoved down our throats. And then somebody introduced me to Metallica, and I was like, well, this is just a cut above, you know what I mean? Sure. This is definitely better. And that led into like the Danzigs and the Megadeth and all that. And I just left all of that hair metal behind. You know what I mean? That was really my first, like I got into those bands, but then I really got down the whole fucking hair metal rabbit hole. And I still fuck with it, but metal I just found Slayer, and I found a German band called Tankard, and then I find, of course, Megadeth and Maiden, and then I just kept going, Ministry, and then and that's like industrial Ministry, before, I guess they've always been industrial. Yeah, like Psalm 69.
Because you're I think a few years younger than me. So you graduated what, 97?
98.
Okay, I graduated 94. But to say we grew up on the same kind of era of music and stuff. But was that your first taste of music? Was that the radio stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the radio stuff. I mean, like I listened to what kind of my parents listen. I'm more sided with like my dad's side. My mom went through like Beatlemania, and she liked like James Taylor and like softer stuff. My dad liked Doobie Brothers and Santana and all that stuff. And I remember there was one day I bought a Sabbath tape. I found one at like BJ's Wholesale Club, and I was a kid. My dad's like, "You want it? Just throw it in the basket." And I was like, "Okay." And it was Paranoid.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And I was just like, "Well, this is like Doobie Brothers, but just different." Yep. You know what I mean? And so that I was kind of still into that old school. The Doors. I was a big Doors fan when I was a kid because my buddy's dad had all these like bootleg tapes.
Of
the Dead and the Doors and the Who, and we used to like he just like hook us up, like listen to that for a week.
Tape trading, that was the thing back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Doors definitely were a big part of my life growing up. It kind of got me through the high school days. Them, and I never really got into like say the Dead.
Yeah.
I understand. I get it why people like them. Just I mean I've listened to the hits. But so growing up like that. So when did you partake in the musical part of it?
So around 87 I started begging my dad. I wanted to be a drummer. I had set up boxes in my room, and I even made a little pedal, the whole thing, and I was like, I really want to do this. And he was like, well, we bought your brother an instrument and he quit, and we bought your sister an instrument and she quit, and you're asking for a bigger instrument. Like, why? You need to give me a reason why I should invest in this. And I just kept bugging him. And luckily in Pennsylvania at the time, there's a place called Dale's Drum Shop. Biggest drum shop on the East Coast at the time. It's like 3 stories. It's a giant place. It's
just
amazing.
For drums.
Yeah, just drums.
Wow.
And I mean, they held an entire wall of nothing but sticks. And so I finally broke him. He was like, okay, fine, we'll go get you a drum kit. Or no, it was they got me a snare drum.
Okay.
They got me a snare drum.
Not a practice pad, but a snare drum.
A snare drum that had a practice pad that you could put onto it.
Okay.
And it was a Ludwig, like acrylite or whatever it was. It wasn't anything great. And then they put me in lessons. And so there's this guy named Dave Reif, and he had a really cool little mom and pop shop. And in the back, he had 2 kits set up, and the one that he taught kids on was a Fibes kit. They don't make them like that anymore. They used to be fiberglass, and they sounded really cool. So we had this ridiculous set, right, with the Zildjian cymbals and all this thing. And then so he's like, okay, I'm like super excited.
How old were you at this time?
This was probably like, I was about 10 or so. It's probably about 1990.
Okay.
And so I'm like so excited. I'm going to play the drums.
Hell yeah.
And then he starts teaching me rudiment on the snare drum. And I'm like, well, when do I play the rest of the kit? He's like, well, your parents are paying me to teach you the snare drum. I was like, all right. So I went through that one lesson and I practiced, and I came back, and I was, he was like, oh, okay, you practiced. Okay, well, now I'm going to move you on to something else. And I was like, well, I thought maybe since I practiced, I think you'd teach me something else. And he's like, no. He was like, well, maybe next time. So he got me to come back for a 3rd lesson. And that's when I finally broke him. And I was like, teach me something a little more. And so he had me going around the kit. And he was like, play this thing. And I started losing the metronome. I was like, well, I can't hear the metronome when I hit this drum. And he was like, that means you're hitting it at the right time.
Oh.
I was like, oh. Like a light went off. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, you're doing it right. You're just second guessing yourself. And so I just went off. And then I started like ad-libbing. He's like, okay. And so finally my mom came to pick me up, and he was like, here's my advice to you. Get this guy a kit and just let him go. And so she was like, okay. And so me and my dad, like probably, that weekend, went up to Dale's Drum Shop and got me a puke green Premier Royale, which is made in the UK.
Okay.
It's a really good kit. I didn't realize it was a good kit at the time, but I ran that kit for a very, very long time. It was a really good little set.
Were you a hyperactive kid?
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I was like, man, maybe I should have played the drums then.
Mm-hmm.
So you started playing drums at a young age. That's pretty cool. And I've heard a lot of people say, learn how to play drums, taking lessons. You go through that first couple lessons, you're like, yeah, I'm checked out now.
It sucks.
Yeah, because you don't want to learn what they want to teach you. You want to fucking smash everything. You want to play what you heard that band, you know.
Yeah.
So did you did you learn and like listen to music and play with it?
I did at home. I started like just following along with some songs. And then in 91, I mean like Nirvana.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, like the floodgates of like punk rock and all this stuff just opened. And I was like playing along to all that. And then my a good friend of our family, I called him my cousin.
Oh, yeah.
And he played guitar and he started playing bass with this guy that he went to school with. He's like, why don't you bring your drums down here and we'll all just jam together? And that's how my first band, Spleen, was formed. And we did like a bunch of Nirvana covers. And back then, I want to say like Green Day's Kerplunk was out.
Cool.
And some Sex Pistols and Black Flag and stuff like that. And then we started writing originals, and our originals were actually very, very good, like especially for, like 12-year-old kids or whatever.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so that just kind of spawned our like school band. Like we were just, and I could have like been like, well, I want to go play like an actual jazz band or whatever, but we just ran with that whole punk rock grunge thing.
Fuck it, yeah.
And started playing shows at like 13 years old.
Fuck yeah.
We had this band called 811. They were a bit older than us. They had a house.
Uh-huh.
And they were like the super cool kids, and they just scooped us up and said, hey, you're going to open up for us at this record store in Carlisle, PA. It was called Proteges. And they had they had gone to like tapes and CDs, and all the records were in the back.
Okay.
And that's where we played, like in this back room. And we would like set up mannequins, like all weird, and dress them all funny, and it was super eclectic. And they would just have like these crazy punk rock kids.
That's pretty
we were
cool.
under 18, we couldn't really do much. And they kind of like took us under their wing, and that spawned into like every freaking birthday party. They wanted us there to like, play Setlist Apprentice. It's like, it's crazy. Like every time it was like, oh, play this. And we're like, okay, we'll just do it.
Do you have any recordings of this stuff?
So I want to say our guitar player, Dave, I think his brother ended up with all of the things Spleen. That's what I was told. I never got a hold of him. Mike Sullivan. I never got a hold of him to find out, but I heard he has all the tapes, all the stickers that we cut out with scissors, you know what I mean? All that stuff.
That's the crazy part about back in that era. Everybody was like bands in high school. You had a band in high school, and then on the weekends you go to somebody's house because for that band would be playing. You guys would talk about it all week, and then you guys would go to that party or whatever it was in somebody's garage, and then Monday y'all be like, dude, man, were you there? You missed out, But there was a lot of bands back in that era when kids, now I don't think they have as many bands in like high school,
No.
Which is kind of, I guess it has to do with also, I guess everyone just does the whole computerized thing.
Yeah, and you could like, if I was young in this era, I'd probably just have an electric kit in my bedroom and like a YouTube channel.
Yeah. I mean, you can have electric kit and YouTube channel and be rich.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you play in that band all the way through high school?
So it was about, I don't remember, I switched schools, and that kind of really fucked everything up because like I got in with a different crowd and like drugs and all this other stuff, and I kind of just lost interest in
music.
It was like other things kind of took my time, and I was kind of like half in at that point, and that pissed those guys off, and so we kind of split up. But then our singer Tom, he could play the drums too, so they recorded something like pretty legit, and he ended up playing drums on it.
Gotcha.
So any like decent recording you would hear of us, it was probably Tom playing the drums.
I didn't start playing music until late in life. Like I was almost 30 before I started playing music.
Wow.
And I wish now, it's like, man, I wish I would have been in a band in high school, but I moved around so damn much. It really never, I did have one project, and I've talked about this on the podcast, and it always comes up because we always talk about bands, back when you were starting out. I had a band called Tremor, and we never practiced. We just spoke about what we were going to go do. We all put some money together, and we all were like, okay, I got a guitar. Well, I'm going to play guitar, and I got bass. Well, I'll go buy some drumsticks, and I'll play drums. That's what I said. Didn't have no drum set, okay? So we just talked about the song, never did anything with it together. Went to a studio. We put our money to record this one song that cost $100 back in like 92 or 91, 92, probably 92. And we they're like, all right, this is what you're going to do. You're going to change it up here and da-da-da. I'm like, all right, cool. So the guy let us run through it one time. And then we played it. Well, we get done with it and we listen to it. They're like, you did you use a kick drum? And I was like, no. I didn't feel like this song needed it. Yeah.
That was my artistic choice.
Never played drums in my life, and I'm behind this fucking kit. And I'm like, I tried to do with the kick, I couldn't get the rhythm down, but I could do everything else just fine, but then that kick came in and I was in trouble, But yeah, I kind of wish I would have stuck with, like, maybe tried to do a band when I was younger, though. But, because, like, I always hear these cool stories from people, like, I was in high school, I was in a band, and,
Yeah, I didn't realize it either. We were like, we never got picked on or anything because we were like these kids in a band.
Yeah.
Like, we got along with everybody. Like, everybody was cool because we all just kind of showed up, and there was never like any like, oh, those dorks in that punk rock band.
Yeah.
No, they were all just like, oh, that guy's cool because he plays music.
Yeah.
It was, high school was
That's pretty cool.
pretty much a breeze because we were those cool kids.
The cool kids in the band.
Yeah.
So, how long after, high school, that was the only band you were in high school because you fiddled away, and then did you join the military after that?
No, so I kind of linked up with some people. I played with a few bands. I played with this guy once. We had like a keyboard player and this left-handed dude who was sick. He and I were really good together. And then something happened with that. Like,
what did a left-handed player do?
He played guitar.
Okay.
And he was just so good. And something happened with the guy who had the house, and I'm 99% sure like they raided the house, and I never went back. Like, I lost that drum kit, everything.
Oh, shit,
I just never wanted to associate with it because I thought I was going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Because I was young and I was like,
oh yeah, you don't know.
That. I don't think it was that bad, but I just thought I was going to get in trouble. So then after that, I was just kind of jamming in and out of bands. I had a band with some coworkers, with my coworker Hank, that was sick. We were called Death Perception.
Death or Death?
Death Perception.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we had a couple of songs. They were really good, 7-string dudes, and the singer was just incredible. I don't even know where we found that guy, but that kind of fizzled out because we all had like work and all this other stuff. Sure. It didn't really amount to anything. And then I heard after I had left the job that I was at there, that singer had come back and asked about me, like, where is that guy? I need a drummer. And I was nowhere to be found.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And then, I took off a long, long time and then joined the Army when I was about 30. And I was in a band in Korea because they had like a community activity center. And they had a drum kit in this ISO room, and so we could practice. And all of the clubs downtown had drum kits and PAs and amps. So all you really needed to do was bring guitars, and you were good to go. So we did a set. I remember there was a place right outside of Post that we just fucking packed.
So in a Korean place?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the guy managing it was an American.
Okay.
And he was just like, yeah, do what you do. Like, I can't pay you money, but all the free beer you can drink. So they were giving us pitchers. Instead of like a glass of beer behind the drum kit, he would just give us pitchers. He was like, any of these guys walk up, you just fill their pitcher, no questions asked. And we're like, okay. We packed the place. And we did covers. We had like 3 originals, but it was very diplomatic. They were like, okay, everybody gets to pick a couple of covers and we'll learn them. And so we did an Iron Maiden song. It was called The Klansman.
Yeah, The Klansman.
And it was pretty much the same beat the whole way through. That was our bass player's pick. I picked Helmets Unsung.
Good choice.
And CKY 96 Quite Bitter Beings. It was basically songs that we thought we could learn quickly. We did For Whom the Bell Tolls. It was an eclectic.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a fun song to do.
Yeah. And the place was freaking packed to the point where the military police came in. They had that courtesy patrol or whatever it was, and they came in and they were like, you guys are pretty fucking loud. And the manager was like, well, they're done in like 20 minutes. And they were like, okay, fine, have a good day. Sweet. But we all PCS'd.
Yeah.
So it was like, you'd have a bass player and then they'd have to PCS to somewhere. Then you'd try to find another guy in your unit or wherever.
Yeah. Well, you said that the center there on Fort Campbell here, there was a center. Like, I don't know if it's still there, but when I was younger, we would go up. There would be a place that my friends would go practice at. And the same kind of thing. It was all isolated room. You rent it out for, the hour or two or whatever, or you not rent it out, but sign it out. You know? And we would just sit in this little, it was a kind of same kind of concept, but that band never did anything, I don't believe. But, yeah, I'm sure that's pretty popular. Well, I don't know about now, but I'm sure that was pretty popular thing back in the day, like, or not popular thing, but common, where soldiers would get together and do a band, and like you say, once they leave, you get more members to change it up and stuff. There was a band here in Clarksville that had some people out there called Julius Seizure. It's pretty cool, but they were a bunch of army dudes and stuff.
I dig. Well, I mean, Can't Relate had a couple soldiers and people.
Actually, I think every band that either you and I have been in have had soldiers in it at some point.
For sure.
Because you obviously.
Eric was
and then Brett, Mark, or not Mark, Brett. Well, everybody in guerrilla warfare except for me.
Yeah.
I was really at that time, or had something to do with the military, because like Lael, who played bass and guitar for a while, he was in the military. Steve was in the military. If like military, I mean, it's a military town, so I guess it's
you can't throw a rock without hitting a soldier around here.
But that's somebody from some other part of the U.S. and y'all, So you were in Korea for how long? Were you in Korea?
I was in Korea for a year.
Oh yeah.
And then I went to Germany after that.
Did you enjoy Korea?
I dug it. Yeah, it was fun. It was a little crazy because I mean it was probably like it gets super cold in the winter, and like they have monsoon seasons and stuff like that. Yeah. So you typically do a lot of things indoors in Korea. Like you just go to bars and.
I mean, you're only there for a year.
Yeah. I remember it was my birthday, and I ended up seeing a guy I went to basic with, who was stationed out there in a different unit, and he was like, "Well, we got to go out for your birthday," and we had a Katusa with us and everything, and we went to Pyeongtaek, which is a really cool little city.
Okay,
but apparently my birthday was like Thanksgiving in Korea. Like nobody's out. Things are all closed.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, man, this sucks. And the Katusa was like, we'll find something that's open. And sure enough, I looked up and I was like, there's some lights on up there. And it was like an open sign. And it looked like a little place. And it was the coolest restaurant I've still ever been to. It was like a pasta joint with like some of the best wine. And so I literally just like, they were like, it's your birthday, pick out whatever kind of wine you want. And I literally just like, bam. And he was like, that is the best bottle of Cabernet we have. It was like 60,000 won. And I just ate like seafood pasta and drank red wine all night. It was crazy fun. I was just like, okay, this worked out.
A good pasta restaurant in Korea. Huh?
Oh yeah. It's weird. That's where I had the most interesting food. I ate like jellyfish,
really,
stuff like that. Yeah.
When I was in Germany, I was, because all I ever knew was I was a kid, so all I knew was America. So we go there, and our hotel is next to this Chinese restaurant. So we went there one night for dinner, and it just blew my mind because these Chinese folks come up to us and they start speaking German, and I was just like, because I wasn't I didn't think that. I just thought they still were Chinese. They didn't speak, and then I see, like, I noticed this, like, then there's like this, a black Turkish guy. He's speaking Turkish. And I'm just like, what the fuck's going on here? And then I was like, well, yeah, you're in another country and there's other people from all over the place. Yeah. It's like, but you said you had some, some great stuff there. Jellyfish, what's that taste like?
It tastes like what it sounds like. It's like
really?
Super sweet. They had it in like this like you open up a little pan, and I said something to Katusa. I was like, dude, is it good? Because I got to try it. Because that's probably the weirdest thing of all of my friends. And he was like, yeah, it's pretty good. And he was like, hold on. And he like mixed it up for me and like portioned it out. And like, I was like, dude, this stuff's amazing. Why isn't this everywhere?
Yeah.
Because it's super sweet, and it looks like clear noodles.
Like the noodles, I was about to say. What part of it are you eating, actually?
I have no idea.
You don't know? Yeah, I was like, I don't fucking know, but it was good.
I don't know, it was good. Yeah, I'm pretty adventurous.
Oh, eating. I like trying. I mean, if you're going to go somewhere, you have to at least try it.
My first good meal in Germany when I got there was like I had blood sausage with like the mashed potatoes and mustard. But before that, I forget what it was called, but it was a hot stone with a piece of like thin toast with crackling fat on it.
Okay.
holy cow.
Really?
It was like the best piece of buttered toast I've ever had in my fucking life.
Let me ask you this real quick. Are you German at all?
Probably a little bit. I've
Yeah.
got like Pennsylvania Dutch, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm a little more Italian, Irish.
Okay. Yeah, for some reason I thought maybe German, but
Yeah, a little bit.
yeah, I really enjoy German food a lot, and luckily, you know, obviously being in the military community and you know somebody German, that someone's mom or somebody's, you know, grandma that was in town, so I'd eat some good German food every once in a while. I wish we had a good German restaurant here.
We do not.
No, we used to, which it wasn't. I mean, Edelweiss was all right, you know, but that's
Well, there's that Hofbrauhaus knockoff in
Opry Mills.
Opry Mills. Yeah.
I mean, Campbell's Kitchen, if you can ever catch them when they're open, I never can because I think they're only open for like lunchtime.
Yeah.
They got some good schnitzel there, you know. They got some great Korean food there too.
Yeah.
You know?
I miss like the legit.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah,
for
I mean-
sure. Like yeah, I've never got to get authentic Korean food, but my stepdad was like, "Oh, shit's fucking amazing."
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's like, I was trying stuff over there that I would never have tried if I didn't go over there because you can't find it here. You
Yeah.
know?
And there's like seasons for different things.
Real.
I remember we were up north doing some kind of training, and we went out. It was a town I had never been in, and we went into this one restaurant where it was like legit sit on the floor, take your shoes off, and then they serve you and you cook it kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And like it was like anything you wanted. It was like, well, we could have goat, we could have this, we could have that, dog, whatever, like anything.
And
I was
you
like,
don't know,
bring
yeah.
it all.
Yeah.
Like just bring it all, and we'll just gorge ourselves.
When I was a young kid, I went to a sit down like that Indian restaurant where they had little pillows on the ground. You had
Yep.
to take your shoes off, you sit there and eat. And I only remember that part of it, so I really don't know what the food tastes like. And that could just be a memory of my head that I made up. But in my head, I know where the place is still in San Francisco. I know exactly where it's at. But it still could be just be a memory that I made up because you're a kid. You make
Just
shit
something
up.
you always wanted to do.
Maybe, you
Yeah.
know, it's like I say sometimes, you know, you talk about something for so much and then you think you were there and then you find out you weren't there or it didn't happen. It's like, I just told the story so much.
You convinced yourself.
Exactly. So after Germany, you were in Germany for what, 3-4 years?
3 years.
3
yeah.
years. Then you came to Campbell.
Then I came to Campbell. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't do too bad.
No, it wasn't bad at all.
No.
I was like, I was a little surprised that, like they kind of make you at the time. They were like, oh, it's going to be 3 years, like 6 years max at any one duty station. But I know people that are still in Germany.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I
for
mean?
sure.
They just do careers over there.
Which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, some of them will end up finding a German wife and just stay there.
That's
you
pretty
know?
typical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would love to live over there, man. It's just so beautiful over there.
Right now it's getting a little hairy.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. All of Europe is getting a little hairy now.
There's not much of us over there, is there, in Germany? I know, of course, Frankfurt, because of Rammstein, there's stuff. And I think there's still some down a little bit more. But
Yeah,
know-
I was on a base like that actually butted up against Rammstein. We had a gate that you could
Yeah.
just go through. But the base I was on had nothing,
Really?
like nothing. Because I was supposed to go to Mannheim, and then they changed my order, said, well, we're going to close Mannheim. But then when I got there, all of my stuff went to Mannheim.
Okay.
And then I had to come back here to go to school, and I called up my household goods and was like, hey, can you put a hold on my household goods because I have to go for like a month to training in Virginia? And they were like, yeah, we can do that because your stuff's in Mannheim. So, I mean, it's not a big deal. We'll just delay its delivery to you. And I was like,
Was it in Mannheim because that's where you were supposed to get?
yeah, that's
so,
where my original orders were for.
That
And I was like,
sucks.
well, if my stuff went to Mannheim, why didn't I?
Yeah.
It's a lot like when you're on a flight. And,
Oh, yeah.
your
bag made
bags are in New York, and it's like, why? What?
Yeah. How did my bags make
I'm
the flight?
stuck in
but
North
I made it?
Carolina in snow. Like, how did this happen?
I went to when I went to one of my high schools because I went to a lot of high schools, but in Germany I went to this one. It was on Patch Barracks, which was I think the main place for NATO or something at that time or something, and that was probably the coolest base that I ever got to go to because at lunchtime you'd leave school there and we had a half pipe down the street. We go skate this half pipe because they had a cool skate park. So we go skate that. We weren't supposed to, but we would go there and skate this half pipe.
This sounds like an Air Force base.
No, it was
Is that
Army base.
Really?
Yeah. Army base. Yeah,
Hmm.
It was Patch Barracks. It was right down. It was right outside of Stuttgart. You know what I'm saying? Patch American Barracks. Yeah. No, It was Patch Barracks, and then it was Patton American Village down the street. But yeah, it was American. It was Army. It was cool as shit.
That's pretty awesome.
It was pretty cool. Yeah. And then I remember one day we were at school. They had to lock us all into the buildings and then evacuate us slowly because when they were doing construction, because in Germany, you're gonna find a bunch of fucking bombs.
Yep.
And they're like, we can get you guys out of here. We found a bomb from like World War II or whatever it was, just sitting there. And of course they got it. And I don't know if it was active or not, but you never know.
Yeah. They found one when I was there, and it was like they were doing road construction, like downtown K-Town.
Oh shit!
Like, get out of here.
Oh man. Yeah. That's what I like about Germany though, man. All those, just the history of Germany is so pretty cool, man. When I was there, we went to, the Eagle's Nest, which was Hitler's lookout over the valley and stuff. And you had to take this long ass tunnel, and you get in this fucking elevator, and it shoots you up this fucking rock. And while they're telling you this, while you're in this, they tell you a story about Hitler, how he was claustrophobic, and that he had to see out the whole time so they had to back the Jeep in all the way out so he could see outside. And that's why the elevator went so fast, because could only be, I'm like, so if you wanted to take this man out, just fucking lock him in a room, you're saying,
Yeah.
But now you go up there, it's like a fucking restaurants and shit. But yeah, Bavaria was cool, and Germany in general. We went to Frankenstein Castle in Frankfurt and a bunch of other cool stuff, man.
I'm a little bummed I didn't do a lot of castles.
Yeah.
I saw a lot, but
oh yeah, you driving on the fucking Autobahn, you look around, you see them on the fucking hills,
But I was like, I remember because I didn't really have to take leave a lot, because you get like a 4-day every month, and I lived like I could just hop on a train and go to Paris if I wanted to.
A train will take you everywhere. Yeah.
And so I remember that they forced me to take leave. I was in use or lose, and nobody else could take leave at the time, and so it was just me. And so I just found a couple of shows. I remember Kylesa was playing.
Oh, nice.
And Red Fang.
Nice.
And so I would just find shows, and we would go to Saarbrücken. There was a place called The Garage that had like all those cool rock shows, and it was a really, really fun little spot. And Cologne, and there'd be clubs that I'd be like, oh, this band's coming here on this day, and then I'll plan this day to come back and do laundry, and then I'll go back out. And I remember I even I went to Brussels.
Wow.
By myself, just to go to the Delirium Cafe where they make Delirium beer.
Really?
And and I'm an idiot. I didn't plan it out that good. So I was like, well, I want a cool hotel, right? So I got this Hotel Aloft, which is like a nightclub. It was a really great place, but clear on the other side of Brussels. So I Ubered. I literally don't remember getting back, but that place was super cool.
That's where I saw my first concert, was in Germany.
Really?
It was in Ludwigsburg, and it was Living Color, and some band. I don't even know if this band was on tour with them from the States or whatnot, or German, but they were called Beyond, and they were probably one of the fucking dopest band I'd ever seen, because they opened the show and they had my attention, and then Living Color came on, and I was like, holy fuck, this was 89 maybe when I seen it. So, and then I got to see David Lee Roth in Stuttgart. Warrant was supposed to open up the show. They were in England 2 nights before, and Janie Lane fell off the stage, broke his leg, and they had to cancel the rest of the tour. So
he's not cool enough like Dave Grohl. You know
it wasn't. That was before. That was before that. That was the 90s. They were, because I guarantee you, if Axl Rose or Dave Grohl didn't do that, Axl Rose wouldn't have done it.
That's true, yeah.
Because that's whose throne he had, was Dave Grohl's,
Yeah.
But I got to see David Lee Roth. That was really cool. Got to meet him at one of the USO places there,
That's so cool.
And I have a dollar he signed, and I have my little helmet hair, because my hair, it grew like a fucking helmet for some reason. And I have him sign this dollar, and my friend's like, you had to pay for it? I was like, no. That was a friend of mine's dollar. He was autographing for him. He's like, oh, I thought you had to pay for that. And I have this picture still, too, and I have my little helmet hair, wearing a Motley Crue girls shirt, says kicking ass on the wild side on the back. And I wore that shirt out, wore it to school it's like every damn day. I probably look like the smelly kid, because I would wear that shirt every fucking day with my jean jacket and shit. Thought it was cool.
I would still probably have a ton of band t-shirts if I didn't wear them until they like flew off of my back.
Oh yeah. I still have this fucking Motley Crue shirt, and it's see-through. It was a white shirt, but it's see-through. It had been worn so many times, and I'm sure if I wanted to, I could probably sell that bitch on fucking eBay or something. But I'm not. That's gonna get. That's
funny. I had the Bloodhound Gang sign a dollar bill for me once.
Really?
They were playing a show near where I live, And we just happened to go to McDonald's, and they were sitting in there. They're like, "Hey, what's going on?" And
was this back in?
This is oh man, this is like right when One Fierce Beer Coaster was like a big deal, and so Jimmy Pop wasn't there. It was the rest of the band, Evil Jared and them, and the drummer. I remember he looked like a kid,
really,
and he had a bottle of Aleve, and he was just like pulling one out, and he put it in. And pull like another candy. One out, and he looked at me. He's like, "You want one?" And I was like, "No, thanks." But I had him sign a $1 bill, and Evil Jared put like a backwards hat on Washington and a little goatee, nice. And it looked like Evil Jared, like dead nuts. Like it was awesome.
Do you have it still?
I think so. Yeah, somewhere. Yeah, I framed it.
Dude, I used to have a frame of shit, but now all those things that were in frames are in a folder with all my autographs and shit.
Yeah, so I ended up asking them because they had to walk like a couple miles to get to the club. I knew which club they were at. I was like, "Hey, you guys want to jump in my Bronco and head over there?" And they're like, "Fuck yeah." So they all jumped in my Bronco and I drove them to the club. I remember feeling so bad because I had like tools in the back of the Bronco, and that DJ had like khakis on, and he just hopped in the back. I like put the window down, and he just hopped in the back, like no big deal. And then he gets back there, and he's like, "Holy crap, you have tools all over the place, and I'm gonna get dirty." Yeah, that was a good night. It was a really good show.
Was that back in PA?
Yep.
While you were, I know, I said to you, you're a photographer. When you were in Germany, when you started doing photography, or is that something later?
So all my life, we used to get disposables.
For sure.
And I mean, even through like high school and into our 20s, anywhere we would go, I would grab a disposable, black and white or color or whatever. And I had a friend who worked at CVS, and I would just take them over there, like just dump them off on her, and then she would hook me up. And when I went to Korea, I decided, like, well, let me get a real camera. And I got this little point and shoot Fujifilm, and it was a piece of crap. And I didn't really, I got some pictures, but it was the editing I didn't get. Because I'm used to just snapping, and if it comes out, it comes out. That's it. And now I have this whole editing thing, and I'm like, I don't get it. So when I went to Germany, I got a new camera. I got a DSLR Canon. It was a T3i. And a dude on a deployment hooked me up. His wife was like a wedding photographer. He hooked me up with the entire Adobe suite.
Oh, sweet.
It was everything. And, of course, that's pretty overwhelming considering I had never used Adobe before in my life. And so I found out how to do a little bit of editing in Photoshop. I didn't like Lightroom at the time, so I used Photoshop. But it's like a completely different program now.
Oh yeah,
Photoshop has come so far that I can't use it anymore.
Well, I went like 10 or so years, and give me the old school, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, like I got it then, but now I'm strictly Lightroom and Lightroom Classic. But yeah, so from there I came back with it. I used it a few times out here. And then I ended up selling it when I got out of the Army. I went to school, and I was just low on money and had to sell all that gear. And I sold it dirt cheap. And then I moved back up here. Actually, that camera paid for my U-Haul to move up here. And after a little while, it's like the whole COVID stuff, and I was like, I think I'm gonna buy another camera because we had started the band, and I'm at shows like taking pictures with my phone, and I'm like, this sucks. I need to have a camera in my life, so I bought a little Sony and one lens, and I was getting some pretty good pictures, but it couldn't really do the low light stuff. So that's when I was like, I need to get serious about this. I'm either gonna do this or I'm not. So now the camera that I still use.
Is this is this what you do currently for is this your business?
Yeah,
it's like a side hustle.
It's a side hustle, really. I mean, I'd love to just do freelance and just do shows and that kind of stuff, but they're just so few and far between. Last year was pretty good, but this year's been very few people being like, hey, let me hire you to do this show. And it's more like, I guess I'm just going to go out and shoot something. I want to go see this show, so I'll go shoot it, and that's kind of on me, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the bookings have really dwindled down, and I mean, I can't blame people because half these shows are not getting paid for or whatever, and the economy is in the crapper. So I mean, I can't blame people for not wanting to hire people to do that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of your work, and it's pretty dope. And you could definitely tell the difference from back 4 years ago till now, you can tell a big difference, you know. But I also noticed too, and we'll get back to some other things in a little bit, but I noticed a lot too. There's a lot of people out there now that want to do photography. I see a lot of people popping up doing photography these days. It's just like, is that like a new fad like type thing, or is it just like people just think it's like? I mean, I get it. I understand why people do it, but I just see it's a lot of people doing it now. You know,
I think it's a YouTube thing. Like there's some photographers got famous on YouTube.
Gotcha.
And so they kind of added, like Peter McKinnon and stuff, like they add this like cool image to going out and shooting pictures. But
yeah,
what they fail to realize is that Peter McKinnon is already rich. And he's worked with everybody from Red Bull and all that stuff. Like they just invite him to like Formula One races. And he's like, I've never shot a Formula One race. And he's with somebody who's a professional and they teach him how to do it. And he comes out and he posts one picture and gets, 100,000 likes on it. And they're like, oh, well, that's cool. I can do that. But they don't realize that to get into a Formula One race with your camera is like you have to get a press badge or whatever, and you have to jump through hoops.
Do you have to pay for press passes for like big events like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
I know a photographer, and I think you know him too, Josh, with the big,
yeah.
And he does.
He's really good.
Yeah, and he hasn't been doing that long. That long. And I've seen him. He does like all the shows at like first what's it called, the amphitheater in Franklin.
I've never been there, but
he did Nine Inch Nails and Bush and like all these shows, and then I'm like, man, and now I look and now he's doing like stuff for Hustler in Nashville and I'm like, I was like, wow, and then I see you doing it. I see Sophia's, she's really good. But one thing I noticed about all of you that I know that do it, and that's just a couple people, you guys all have your own style.
Yeah.
And is that something that you figure out like, okay, this is how I like my pictures to look. So this is basically like you make your own type of either a template or filter, I guess you'd say, and then you set same kind of settings, and then that's what you.
Not me.
Okay.
So but I understand the benefit of that. So if you look at my KVA Instagram, it's kind of all over the place because I just treat each picture like it's its own thing. And kind of like, I think this is the aesthetic for this picture. Definitely have like a bit of cinematic and everything, but it is very smart if you want everything to be kind of linear and look similar and have a style. Yeah. To make your own preset. Like really, I mean, white balance in every situation is different. So if I'm, do all my edits, I'm like, this is perfect. I'd like everything to look like this. And I could save it as a preset. So the next picture I get to, I can just click that, and it puts me at least in that ballpark.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I do things so much differently than everybody else. Like
you treat everything as like a art piece.
Yeah. So and like when people typically photographers like weddings and all that events, they'll cull all their photos before they even put it in. They'll say, okay, that one's bad. I'll keep that one. And then they'll have like a lot of people have a certain set number that like, I charged you this much. I promised you this many pictures. And now I put it in. I don't do that. I set a minimum. So this is how much it costs. You're getting a minimum of this, which is like a pretty base model. I go so far over that because I feel like I'm neglecting a good picture. If I say I'm only going to give you 10 shots, well, why would I only give somebody 10 shots if that 11th one is still good? Yeah. Why would I deprive you of that good shot?
Nope, you got to pay me for that one.
Yeah, well, this one's an extra $1.
Yeah,
so, but I do understand, like, staying. Because, I mean, those cameras, they only have so many shots in them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to keep your, the time I spent, being that I have like a regular job, I mean, it takes me like 3 or 4 days to get through a set of pictures. So, I mean, it takes a while. If I could say, hey, this is the amount and I can knock that out in a night, I could be on to the next show or whatever. But I do things like I just put it all in Lightroom, and I start with one. And I'm like, well, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. Hey, this one's pretty good. All those ones delete. Now I've got this one that's good, and that's how I go through the entire 2,000 or whatever.
So do you ever go like all right, no, yes, no, yes, and then do you delete them or do you go back and go, all right, let's go through them one more time?
So I keep the originals, and I'll delete from the Lightroom catalog.
Correct.
Just gone.
Gotcha,
I know whether it's going to work or not.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, yeah. And sometimes I'll look at one and I'm like, oh, I like it, but it's just not going to work out. And you just got to commit to deleting it. Or sometimes you'll be in the middle of an edit and be like, man, I can't correct this thing that's shitty about this picture. Like, and you finally like, you lose an hour or whatever. And you're like, well, I got to trash it, move on. But yeah, I mean, like that whole minimum thing. I just told somebody, I was like, well, I'll give you a minimum of like 30 pictures per band, which is a lot, for photographers. But I mean, it's always going to be more
That's
than
a
that.
lot for a band, too.
I don't ever just take that many. Sometimes I'm in like continuous mode, and I'll get something that happened a second apart, and they're still both very good. So I'll be like, yeah, I got to do this one too. It's kind of a compulsion, like, oh, I got to edit this one and deliver it to them. But I remember I shot a Blackwater Down show, and it was Omen Bringer and Floater and Blackwater Down. And I think Omen Bringer got like 60 edits. Or no, Floater got 60, Omen Bringer got about 90, and Blackwater Down got 119.
But you think about it, though, that band has some energy, and they're always moving.
They are. They're fun to shoot.
They all are moving, I mean, I'm sure there's some bands you've shot and you're like, I really ain't got much here, but you got to look at them. Like, fuck,
Yeah, it
like
happens.
a band that like, and this isn't just saying like it has nothing to do with the band, but if you got a band that's like just standing around and they're not like, you're going to get, every picture's going to be identical damn near, and it's like, okay, this is the same picture of this guitar player playing and he's not doing anything.
Or even, it could be even worse than that. Just a really high energy band, but the lighting is dog shit.
Oh yeah,
or like too dark. And I tried to shoot when we played at the Pea Patch.
Okay.
And I took like maybe 5 pictures of Mass Hatred, and I was like, this is not going to work.
Is it because it's too dark, or is it just too much?
It's too much dark, and the lighting was like little polka dots. I mean, if it had been beams of lights,
but you got them lights,
it would have been a
like,
little bit better. But it was like this, just little polka dots of red and green all over everybody.
Are those lights that they have? The lights that they have, they're like the ones you can get like at Spencer's Gifts, and
yes. But then you run into a situation like when we played those shows at the warehouse where Byrne brought out his lasers.
Fuck,
that was so cool, and that was my old camera. I wish I could catch another show like that. I got some of the best shots out of that show.
Yeah, I think for some reason I've lost a lot of photos. I don't know how the fuck I have. Like, I remember you had sent me a bunch from the warehouse shows, and I'm like, where the fuck did these pictures go? And like, I go to my Facebook page, and I have like 10 pictures, and that's it. I'm like, where the fuck are all these pictures at that I had? There's somewhere, but yeah. But I mean, so do you? Is that what you do on the weekend? You're like, I'm going to go to a show and just take pictures.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. Or, I do products now too. I have like a beer page, which was just going to be kind of alcohol, but then I drink beer.
Yeah.
So I'll like just set up a wacky way to set up beers, which really helps because beer and, liquor, like bottles, really hard to shoot because you want even lighting. You don't want to know where your light source is. And that's been super challenging and has really helped with just any products. And I shoot products for my day job, so it's really kind of helped, which now I kind of just sign things out and bring them home because I just have a bigger, nicer setup, and I can do that over the weekend. Like I have a couple of pieces that I'm going to work on this weekend.
Do you, when you shoot, like for instance, like the beer or whiskey bottles or whatever, do you use like a light box, or do you just?
So I'm gonna get more, but I have one flash that I put in a softbox. Like, so I have a little thing that I can put the flash in a softbox. And a lot of times I could do like a single light. It's just cool, little moody kind of thing. But I also have some regular like bicolor lights that I can add accents or light up the background. I have a bunch of LEDs. I can add color to stuff. But if you're using a flash, a lot of times that'll negate anything that your LEDs are doing. Yeah. So, and it really just takes soft lighting. I also have the coolest thing ever. There's this dude named Carl Taylor designed these cones that are a material that you can shine lights right into them, and it just completely softens it out. So anything that has reflection, it kills that. So you don't know where the light source is. And if you have enough lights to light the whole thing up, I could put like a chrome muffler in this thing and it would just look amazing.
Wow.
You wouldn't see any of those reflections.
Yeah. See, because I have a page on Instagram for my CDs and my cassettes. And I've always and it always bugs me because it's like I gotta do it just right because I get the reflection from the TV or I get the reflection from the light, and I'm like fuck, and it's like I always want to I don't know how to fix that problem, and so like I try every fucking different ways, and I'm like, well maybe if I use like a bright light on it, if I took a pic, I don't know, but I just do it anyway.
It's super soft lighting. Like the more you can diffuse the light, the less you can find out where it's coming from. Yeah,
because it's like. I try. I mean, I'll show you some of my pictures later. So that's so for your current job, you take pictures too.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that's pretty cool. You like what you do and you do it for work. You know.
Yeah, it can be kind of a hassle though, because I also have to do like the social media aspect of that and marketing and like it's a different thing. It's not like, oh, let me go to the store and find a 4-pack of beer that I want to shoot. Right. It's more like, hey, we have this new product and we have to push it. And so you need to get like, white background shots for the website and then get like stylized shots. But now I have to wait to post those things until it goes up on the website. And then we have to work out a sale or whatever. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on. I was like, can I just take pictures?
Yeah,
Is that cool?
Do you work for a beer company or a liquor company?
No. I work for a firearms manufacturer. Which is fun.
I've seen some of those pictures. I don't know if it's for that, but I've seen you take pictures.
So I just started one of my own because I wanted to kind of experiment with it and kind of do my own thing and not have like a sales oriented thing. Just look at this picture. Because I think there's a mentality if you have a business and you have a social media following, it's sell them something. Like give them some, like buy this, and I think some people just kind of want to look at something cool.
Yeah.
So now I have like everybody and their brother dumping like, hey man, like can I bring my my pistol over or something? And then they bring over this piece of crap that they've had for 20 years that looks like dude, I can't even. I don't. No amount of editing is going to take these crappy scratches off of your 1985 Ruger.
I mean, that happens. I'm sure that happens with everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even new stuff like just kind of can look crummy because when you start shining legit lighting on it, you start seeing a lot of imperfections in like plating or paint or they didn't quite color match this right, and it really shows all of that underbelly.
Yeah, I guess you do see that kind of shit.
Yeah, you get details you don't want. You're like, oh, I don't want to. It looks too real. Or
I thought this was all red, but this is like red with some like some dark.
Like now I could see how they painted it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't want all that detail.
Yeah, I painted on a door once, and I was like, oh, this door looks great, and then the boss came over because it was when I was in school. I got kicked out of school, so I had to go do like community service type shit. So we're painting shit, and they're like, "No, you got streaks all in here." He's like, "Oh, it looks good, huh? It looks good." He turns the hallway light on, and you're like,
"It's like you see every
it looks great in the dark, you know."
Well, just break the light, and then we'll be fine.
So you've been doing this for damn near most of your life, then taking pictures since.
Yeah. Sometimes I kind of miss the disposable days. I remember
you can still buy those, right?
I think so. Yeah. I think they're back.
I like them. I
love them
because you don't know what you're going to get.
No,
it's Christmas every day.
Yeah, I remember I took we took a trip to Pittsburgh to go see CKY.
Oh, nice.
And we tried to do the Carson Street crawl. And so for anybody who's not from Pittsburgh, Carson Street is a very long street with like pretty much nothing but bars and restaurants and stuff. And the Carson Street crawl, you just see how far you can get. And none of us remembered being at this one bar. We all remembered that there was a bar that did like, I want to say it was 10-cent draft night.
Oh, fuck.
And we were like, shut up and take my money. It was like $5 at the door, 10-cent drafts. I think I took a picture of my buddy had 50 cents left to his name, and he got all the beers. And there's just beers everywhere. You just pick up one. Like nobody cared.
Yeah.
But we were at a place before that. Nobody remembered it until I got the film developed. And I was like, what was this place? And we had to like jog our memory. Oh yeah, we did stop somewhere for a beer that sucked. It was right next door to the place that had.
So would you get a beer at every place and just keep going?
You try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you said the nickel beer, 10-cent beer.
Yeah.
The Warehouse, back before I was even playing music, penny drafts.
Oof. Yeah, I could
you
see
could just you give them like 10, 15, $20, and then you would just go up there with your fucking penny. You give them a quarter and just walk away or get whatever.
Yeah.
And they weren't small glasses. They were normal size almost glasses. Like little plastic glasses, and those get you in trouble.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, I tried to do that, like honky tonkin down in Nashville. Me and my brother had come in town once, and we're like, "Oh, we're gonna get a beer at every place."
Good luck.
No, it did not happen because you don't realize how much is going. Because you're not just drinking it slow, you're drinking it quick to go to
the next place.
And then guess what happens? You're drinking it quick. You're walking. You're doing. Your body's moving. You're getting fucked up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine trying to do that on Broadway.
No,
there's just too many.
Now especially.
Yeah.
There's a bar every feet. Even Taco Bell serves fucking alcohol.
Really?
The Taco Bell that's on Broadway?
I did not know that.
Cantina. The Taco Bell cantinas. So you can get a Baja Blast
with booze in it.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. I thought. Have you ever been to like Burger Up or Burger Republic or any of those places?
No.
They do boozy milkshakes that are like ridiculous.
Really?
Milkshakes. Oh yeah, they're so good.
I mean, I guess I would be the same thing there. I would like give me a Baskin Robbins milkshake with some alcohol in it.
There you go.
I mean, you go to
a Blizzard.
Oh. Get that Wendy's Frosty.
You could do like a Butterfinger Blizzard with that screwball peanut butter whiskey.
That'd be nuts of trouble.
If anybody's listening out here who has access to these things, you need to put them together and let us know how this is.
I used to follow all these people that would try mixed drinks. They'd be like, "Oh, we heard about this, so we're gonna try it." And I've seen some fucking weird shit out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would I want to try the Baja. Well, not now, but I would have liked to have tried the Baja Blast with some rum or some.
I remember we used to like try to make like, okay, so what do we have?
Oh.
And if ever, we could almost make this, and I would always sub like this was back when Monster was only green and blue.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be like, well, I have a green Monster, let's throw that in there,
yeah.
and like we'd end up making just Monster cocktails.
And it would be the worst tasting thing, which like, oh, it's pretty fucking good.
Super bad news too. Like I happened to see, I was actually looking for a beer. I can't find any good beer right now, but Clarksville sucks right now for beer. I went into that spot on Madison. It's that gas station, and they have a liquor store next door. I can't remember, Favorite Liquor or whatever.
Yeah.
And the gas station had like, I forget which energy drink it is. Maybe it's Ghost or one of those newer ones. They have like 7% alcohol.
The Monsters do.
And I was like, dude,
Monsters
is just trouble.
The Monsters are 10%.
Ooh.
And guess what they taste like?
Monster.
And if
sugar.
I mean, they're not bad. They're not bad. I was getting at the point where I was taking those Monsters that had the 10% alcohol and mixing them with fucking vodka, and don't do that.
Well, that's kind of how Hard AF Seltzer started. I remember the guys who started that, the Drinking Bros, they were drinking, what was that popular seltzer? I can't remember the name of it, but it was like just one of those regular run-of-the-mill seltzers, and they were adding vodka to it. And so they're like, why don't we just come up with our own that's like an 8%? And so they did. They like found all the flavors they liked.
White Claw, you talking about?
Yeah, White Claw. Yeah. They were getting into like distribution companies, and they really legit. And now Hard AF is like a really big deal.
Well, the only first thing that I ever saw that was flavored as far as a malt beverage was Not Your Dad's root beer.
Oh well, you had to have remembered like Zima.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess you could
Boone's Farm.
But Boone's Farm was just wine though. Or is it malt? Is that,
there was like a seltzery kind of Boone's Farm.
I remember we used to take the Zimas and drop the Jolly Ranchers and sign on, we'd make our own flavors.
I want to say Zima's back. I think it's making a resurgence.
Damn.
I think the world.
I would fuck with that.
I think pop culture goes in 30-year cycles. I have a theory that when I grew up, I liked, in the 90s, I was like listening to stuff from the 60s.
Yeah.
And then I started noticing that grunge would make a comeback with certain, and I'm like, wait a second.
You're right.
Seems like there's a 30-year gap where things come back.
Well, I think you're correct, because the 90s, and I mean, we're almost 30 years from there, but they're wearing Jinkos again now.
Yeah.
Jinkos are back.
Right.
And they're more expensive now than they were then.
Oh, I can only imagine. I remember when grunge went like corporate.
Yeah.
It was so bad. Like there was like commercials. I remember there was a David Spade was on a 1-800-COLLECT commercial, and there was like some old guy wearing like the flannel and everything, and it was like they just completely commercialized it. One band, well, one group of bands gets popular, and they just ran.
Oh yeah, I mean, even some bigger bands at that current time during the grunge era tried to be a grunge band, and it won't work for you. It's not gonna work for everybody.
It doesn't work for everybody, and they came from like cold ass wet Seattle.
Oh
like
yeah,
that was
they
just
are
the
depressed.
uniform for the working class, Olympia, Washington people, not some guy, not some stock trader in New York. You know what I mean? Like.
I mean, now we got stock traders in New York that were grunge kids.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true. And I see a lot of like T-shirts that I'm like, I was in the gas station the other day, and there's this little girl. She might be 6, and she had a Def Leppard shirt on. And the teller was just like, "You think she listens to Def Leppard?" And I was like, it's possible. And I was like, it was like, well, what do you think Mom listens to? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, yeah, it's probably right.
Well, and nowadays though, and it's whatever it is, I don't care. But I mean, we can talk about, we can not now, but we could go on forever about this conversation. But I think now it's just a fashion.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, people wearing. Somebody I worked with, bless her heart, she was wearing a Nirvana shirt, and I was like, oh, you're into Nirvana, and she was like, is that a band? And I was like, you're wearing their shirt. And she was like, I thought it was just like a clothing brand.
Yeah.
Looked
I mean,
cool.
what does the word Nirvana mean? Well, Nirvana means, there's a word, it means something. But,
blissful or whatever.
So she might have thought,
Yeah.
But I mean,
just taking it literally.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's like, when you go to J.C. Penney's or Kohl's and you got fucking Misfit shirts and like Grateful Dead shirts and all this, like, what the hell? Because you can find band shirts in every business nowadays.
It's true, but then they make
Walmart.
new ones. They make new ones that the band never made. You know what I mean?
I think that's because they probably they sold the rights to their name. Because I know years back the Misfits sold the Misfits.
I used to have the Die My Darling shirt with the glass. And
that was a dope.
skull.
That's a dope fucking shirt.
Yeah, that's a really good shirt.
I saw this guy who makes shirts, parody type shirts, and it was like The Simpsons, but it was Lisa Simpson in that pose. That was pretty cool. No, but you're all right about the whole. It all comes back in cycles. It
does. It's always like, I remember I've seen this since I was young, because like I grew up in I was born in '79, so I kind of grew up in the '80s, '90s, and I've been saying "rad" since I learned it in like '86 or whatever it was, and I just thought it was It was a cool word back then. It was like that thing. And I've continued to say it. It'll fall out of fashion, and people will make fun of me for saying it. But then it comes right back around, and I'm cool again. And
you haven't done nothing.
Yeah, I didn't do anything. I just continue to say the word rad.
I say rad. I say dope. And I used to say, depending on what I'm looking at, I might even say that's fresh still.
Yeah.
But I still use those words. And then someone the other day at work were like, "All right, boomer." And I'm like, really?
Like, do you know what a boomer is? Like, my parents are boomers.
Yeah, I am not.
It's a different thing. People forget that Gen X exists.
Yeah.
Because we don't cause problems.
No.
We at least try not to.
No. But I think the word boomer is just a word now.
Yeah, it is just.
It's like calling somebody a nerd.
Old head.
Yeah. You know what? I saw the other day, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and this chick called this dude daddy. And he's like, "Man, stop that." She's like, No. It's not like daddy. It's like daddy. Like it's sexual. And I'm like,
that's weird.
That's just weird.
Especially to anybody who's a father.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But back to your seltzer thing there where you're talking about, White Claw makes regular seltzer now.
Really?
Non-alcoholic seltzer. Why? I mean, it just.
Why not? I guess just so they could serve it in more places, probably.
But if they serve it with where the beer's served. So,
yeah, that's weird.
But I ain't gonna lie, I was on the White Claw bandwagon for a little bit, and then more stuff came out.
I don't mind it like on a hot day. I don't mind a seltzer at all.
But they go down so quick.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I remember we played a show and I brought some White Claws, and sometimes you go to a show and you have like 5-6 hours before you even go on, and you're in a place that just kind of sucks. and you're just sitting on the tailgate of a truck, and I've got a cooler full of White Claws. I'm just going to start tossing them back. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I did that at the warehouse one time. I went to the down to that gas station on the corner there and bought a 12-pack of fucking the iced teas.
Oh yeah.
You know, and those go down so damn quick because they're not carbonated, and you crack one, it's like another one. By the time you look, they're all gone, and you're fucking like, I gotta play a show. You know, it's like fuck, man. But that's one thing about alcohol these days. Everything's flavored.
Yeah, everything's got
whiskey's flavored.
They're trying to appeal to that younger generation, I think.
Yeah, I mean that
20-somethings.
But they were always drinking already.
Yeah, it's true.
Because like now I see, I still work in a restaurant, and I still see the different liquors that come out, and I guess Crown Royal now has a blackberry.
I could see that.
You know, I mean they popped off hard when that damn peach came out, and everyone wanted that peach. And I'm not gonna lie, that peach was insane. You know, you could drink it ice cold, you can drink it, and I would mix it. Here I am mixing alcohols again. I would take the damn those hard teas and mix the peach in there and have a peach tea.
Oh, that sounds pretty good.
But anyway, so back to taking it back now. So you're at Campbell. You you got out here after, you said how many years?
So 7 total.
7. And then, were you involved with music at that time, or in the area? Because what year was that when you retired or got out?
I got out in 2016.
Okay.
And I went to recording school after that. I actually got out a few months early in order to go to school. It was like a continuing education program thing. And I went to Dark Horse. Then after Dark Horse, I went to SAE. So I went to two different audio engineering schools, but I took audio engineering and music business at Dark Horse. And then
where's Dark Horse at?
So Dark Horse is at Franklin.
Okay.
Like they have a schoolhouse there at what is that place called? Can't remember the name of it. There's like a big. It's kind of like a mall, but it's, I don't know. It's interesting. It's a really cool spot. But then they have the studio. The actual Dark Horse studio is kind of back off of. It's
not 100 Oaks, is it?
No.
Okay.
No, I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, and then when I went to SAE, I already knew what I was doing. So like people had no idea what this SSL console was, and I walked in and I was like, so when are we allowed to like use this stuff? And they're like, well, anytime you want. And the dude that I had kind of picked to be my partner, he was like another rock dude, and he didn't know what was going on, but he was in a band. I was like, hey man, why don't you bring your band in and I'll record you. And so we just started recording before anybody else even.
Because you knew what you were doing.
Yeah, I already knew what I was doing. So he and I ended up getting like salutatorian and valedictorian when we left. Now so I was offered an internship at Southern Ground Records, which is what's that country singer's name? Owns it.
Which one?
I can't remember his name, but they were gonna pay like $10 an hour and wanted you there like 40 hours a week, and I was
for
like,
intern. They're gonna pay intern.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was like, I can't work for that little amount of money. Like I just can't. I have big boy bills. I wasn't like a student, I wasn't a young kid, but I remember he had ended up doing a unpaid internship at Omni Sound, and he recorded with like the Head and the Heart and that kind of stuff, and he got a little more experience, and so he ended up taking a job with Nick Raskulinecz, and he recorded an Evanescence record, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. But I ended up working at United Record Pressing Plant, just trying to find some studio. I did some studio work on Music Row. This guy used to hire me whenever he would have to play the piano. He would hire me to run Pro Tools, but it was very session work. It was like completely destructive. Like, nah, take it back to the top. I'll get it right this time. And literally I hit the freaking space bar and never touch it again. Like, they were just so good. But he was just like, hey, when are you going to come back? Like, oh, I have to work tomorrow. And he said something that has been told to me a couple of times. He said, your job is getting in the way of your career. And that seems to be a reoccurring theme with like even like photography now. Like, I'd love to just freelance and do what I want. And I think I would probably get a lot better. But, I've got this job. So I
pick
can't,
it,
there are
yeah.
gigs I can't take because of the job, and that would probably expand the business. And it's kind of a recurring thing.
So is the recording business kind of...
So it kind of died with
Yeah.
COVID. And then, I mean, most of the studios kind of closed down. They also did this stupid thing where they were trying to close home studios. And I know Liz Shaw, I was going to actually go to there was a program that would put you with a working studio, and you just work for them and you get credit towards a degree, but they didn't take the GI Bill. And she,
weird.
like the woman she was really working on it, and she hooked me up with Liz, and he's won Grammys in his freaking garage. You know what I mean? And it would have been a great experience, but then I wasn't able to do it because they wouldn't take the GI Bill. And then he almost got shut down because they didn't want people recording in their garages. And he's like, dude, my neighbors love me.
Was it-
but it's not an issue. Like,
what this wasn't for COVID?
it was just before COVID. Yeah. And then COVID happened, and that just kind of ended a lot of studios. People, you couldn't come in to record, so you can't keep the lights on. You know what I mean? That stuff is expensive to run, especially like big old, analog consoles and outboard gear and all that stuff. And so a lot of people kind of went under. And then kids found ways to record in their house.
There's a lot of that.
I've done it.
Yeah.
I have like Logic, and I can throw drums together like nothing. And you would never guess that it wasn't somebody playing the drums.
No, and I mean it's but having a computer nowadays, you can do so much shit now on them computers.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people. I have a friend of mine who went to SAE. Is that what he did? And and Edison obviously. But I have a buddy who did it, and he doesn't do anything with. It's like he went there, graduated, and he works 9 to 5, and. But I mean, I guess it's the experience, I guess. And I mean, you have the knowledge of doing it now, so now if you do go to the studio with your band, you kind of know what's going on.
Yeah. But I'm pretty hands off with that stuff now because I want those, like, a couple of songs I did computed drums, and I just gave them to JJ, and then we recorded guitars in his basement. And I just let him go, and because I knew he's pretty good at it, but I think like just doing it more, he'll just get better and better and better, and that's why.
The last 2 songs you guys did at Modern Primate, was that Edison or you guys?
We did Karma's Crown and Medicated Bliss ourselves, but then this.
I did not know that.
Biology, was it Biology?
Yeah,
Biology we did with Edison. And this last one we did with Edison. This last one, I think we really rushed it.
Yeah.
And I think we need to learn to like spend more time and like really like get our performances down and all that. I hated my performance on the last one.
And that's the one thing about when you are recording, like when it's local, you don't have to worry about, we got to drive all the way to,
Yeah.
And it's right here. It's right down the street, and Edison, Edison's always like, no, he'll be like, no, do it again, try it again, you try it again. But so I did not realize that you guys that JJ did those 2 tracks. That's pretty cool.
And then I sent it to a buddy of mine who I was in school with, in music business school with. He does mastering, and he did the mastering like super cheap. Just because we're buddies.
That's a cool thing too. If you know somebody and they're like, I'll give you, but I'll give you the homeboy, the buddy deal.
But I remember we did all of those that first album, if you want to call it. I think it was about 10 songs. We had Mike from Blackwater Down.
Yeah.
And he was like, I remember we took the drums to Justin's house. You remember Justin?
Yes.
And he has this big vaulted ceiling. Like
really?
I was like in his living room, and it was like the sound was amazing.
Was he in the band at that time?
I think he was, yeah. And Mike was like, man. And I was like, no, I can do it better. Like, that was my mantra. Like, I got a better one. And he was like, are you cool with that one? And I was like, you hate it, so I'm just going to do it again to do it better. But it was always that I could do better. But he was after kind of a live sound. He wanted to capture like what it would sound like when you would go see us. So he kind of wanted to leave a little bit of ebb and flow and maybe a couple like little mistakes here and there to kind of emulate that. I think we captured that, but I don't know that we've actually been captured sonically the way we sound.
That's one thing that I've always talked about. Like I've always wished that the energy that and what you give on stage, I wish you could just get that same energy on a CD, but it doesn't come off that way, man.
It really doesn't, and it's really tough because I kind of just concede to everything. Like I could spend all day being like, this snare is just not the way. Like I tune it a certain way. It's kind of distinct throughout all the bands that play. You would know if I was playing, right? Like that. It's just got a distinct sound, and the two guitars being like they're both similar. They're tube heads and that kind of thing, and I think they're both like 120 watts or whatever. But they're distinctly different guitar players, and you can hear it just from their sound. And to try to like make them sound the same would be a mistake. But they both sound good, so it's really hard to mix, like to have a point of difference between this guitar or whatever. And, and I think same with like Charles, I think he could like pick apart his bass tone until it was perfect. I mean, we could spend so long and get it perfect and we would all be happy, but it was just like,
do you think though too at that point when you're doing that, like you're fine tuning everything, kind of takes away from
it? May get too polished.
Yeah. But I mean, some of these bigger bands probably do that.
It's true.
Like for instance, there is this Michael Jackson documentary about recording Thriller, and it might have been Billie Jean or Beat It, one of those two.
That's got a great snare tone on it.
He did it I think he did 100 different vocal takes, and then he was like, no, play number 47, and then play number this, and he's like, I'm like, fuck, dude.
Yeah, you get into that minutia of like, it's no something. Let me do that again, or no, I like this one better, but can you like cut this line and like.
And think about back then in the 80s how hard that was.
With tape.
Fuck, you like cut and splice and tape and play. Like fuck, damn.
And that's why those people used to get paid crazy money because they were actually cutting tape. You know what I mean? Like it's an art.
When I worked at a radio station when I was a kid, like I say kid, I guess I was a kid. I was 16. That's how we made the commercials. Reel to reel. Splice it, cut it. And I was like, so I learned how to do that just from the commercials. So one time I tried that with like just a regular band. I was just trying to learn how to do that stuff. That shit's hard.
So that's how we recorded Spleen. We had a reel, and we would hang the microphone in a certain area, and we would kind of play around and like listen to it, and then play around until we got it in the right place. We would just be hanging in the middle of the room until it was mixed well. It's one mic. And that's how we kind of made our tapes. But I don't even know how you could mix us, because I remember the bass player had this giant like refrigerator Fender bass cabinet. And he would like stand in front of me, be like fiddling with it, and he would just hit like an open note, and his pants would like shake, and he was like, "Yeah, that's right. That's where it needs to be. Yeah, if my pants aren't shaking, it's not good enough." And then we had this Randall 212. I ended up buying a Randall 212 because I thought it was going to give me the same sound, but it was not the same thing. That thing that we had back in the day just screamed. It was so cool. And we had the Marshall half stack too. I mean, like, I don't know how we were able to pull off any recordings in that little basement. Like, I have no idea.
I mean, if it was a basement, it probably sounded pretty good.
Yeah, it's just, and I'm loud. I've never not been a loud drummer. Even with that little Premiere kit, people used to like be like, "Dude, listen to this! Like, can you believe that sound is coming from that little tiny drum kit?" And I've never really known how to tune. Like, I just tune until it sounds good, and it sounds good.
I don't even think when I watch you play, I don't feel like you're a hard drummer either. Like I don't feel like you hit hard, but
not anymore. I used to. Yeah. I used to really like. Oh, man, I used to go through sticks. It was very Dave Grohl, because that's kind of how I learned how to play his songs, is just watching. On like MTV was a big deal. I mean, you listen to it all day long and kind of get it, but like, well, I don't really know what he's doing there. And then so you watch the videos live or their music videos, and you're like, I see it now.
Is he one of your influences?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
sure. He was
obviously.
Big influence.
I know Taylor is.
Yeah, Taylor was big. There's a lot of drummers. Like Abe from Deftones. Yeah. I get a lot, even drummers I don't know, but like. corrosion conformity. There's a lot of little things that I take.
You take influence from everybody.
Yeah. And like I'll listen to something now. Like I was just listening to E-Town Concrete on the way here.
Yeah, man.
And it is like E-Town Concrete radio. So there's like Strife and Terror and all that stuff. But I'd hear something like Biohazard. I hear so much of my more influence now, like that it was subliminal. That I didn't know I was stealing from Biohazard. But now I'm like, oh wow,
yeah.
Like I didn't know that's even where that came from. But I loved Biohazard. Oh, yeah, like that's another one that I had like all their shirts until like the emblem would be falling off.
Yeah, fucking great live band.
Oh, man. So great. Good. I never got to catch them live.
Really? Well, they're back on the road now.
Really?
They got back together last year, maybe early last year.
With all of them, Billy, Denny,
everybody,
Evan.
Yep, yeah. Evan. If you saw what Evan looked like, you wouldn't know that was Evan.
Really?
He's not. He's all fit, cut. He's all chiseled and shit. But him and Billy are their chemistry is just back to normal again. You know
that's so cool.
It's cool to see them all on the same page, because it's the original lineup. You know, I mean, they had after Evan left the band. Well, I guess you'd say they had the Evan lookalike come in. He looked just like Evan. He had the fucking same. He looked like tatted up. Hair. But they did. Last year they played Milwaukee Metal Fest, and that was their first or second show, and they fucking tore it up, dude. Tore it up. Cool. But now they've been doing all the fests. They're not doing any tours. I don't think. I just think they're doing like fests and stuff. But if they do a tour, I would definitely buy. And I'm sure 100%. the closest they probably would come here would probably be Atlanta.
Yeah,
because I don't see them doing St. Louis, maybe Chicago, but I see them just doing like big cities. Nashville now, and I hate that because Nashville gets skipped around sometimes.
It's true.
We do get a lot of fucking shows here. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of fucking shows in Nashville, but I feel like some of the bigger ones are always in Atlanta. And why don't you drive there? Well, it's not cheap.
Because I don't want to.
Yeah.
Because I live next to a major city. Just come to this city.
You have to come through Nashville to get to Atlanta.
Yeah.
You got to come through Nashville to go to St. Louis. You got to, because Metallica played St. Louis in November, but they didn't play Nashville, and I'm like, fuck, but it happens. Sometimes you got to drive. Back in my younger days, I would drive. I mean, I never drove. I rode. I would go see fucking bands. I went and saw Biohazard in fucking Indianapolis. I went and saw Dropkick Murphys up in Indianapolis.
We used to go a lot we used to go to Philly all the time.
Yeah.
But Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I remember the first time I saw Gojira. Gojira opened up for In Flames.
Wow.
And we were Gojira fans, and I didn't really like In Flames. And that place was packed. That was probably the best performance from them. I mean, they always do good. I've seen them a dozen times now, but
I've only seen them once.
So my friend Misty is obsessed with them, and she'll get like VIP tickets, and she's like, "Hey, man, we're going."
Hell yeah!
Like, okay, I'm not going to argue. And then so we're always right up front at the gate, all that stuff. We've done meet and greets and all that. We actually sat on the bus with them because she bought a piece of merch. Mario does I don't know if he still does it. He'll take his old drum heads and make art with them, and she had seen them somewhere like Alabama or wherever it was, and then so the next show he was like, oh yeah, I'll give you the Nashville one. He did the one for each city that they were playing, and then he forgot it at the meet and greet. And so he's like, crap. He was like, meet me at the bus after and Opeth was on after that. And I had never seen Opeth live at that point. And so after that, she was like, all right, well, let's go to the bus. We're hanging out, and they're not coming out. She was like, well, you could go back in. And so I kind of hung out. She was like, I'll just text you when they come out. So she did. And I came out, and we just sat on the bus and shot the shit with Mario and just talked drums and all kinds of stuff. At that point, I had bought a drum kit to force myself into a band, to force myself to do it. And it was like just sitting stacked up. And I was having like a crisis of like, what do I do, man? And he was like, you just got to find that person that also is in that situation that has a guitar. Right?
Yeah.
Even if you guys suck together, you just got to put the thing together and play it again. Because it had been 15 years or whatever it was since I had actually played. I was just itching. And he gave me some really great advice. Super nice guy. And then shortly after that, a mutual friend of me and Mark was like, she was like, oh, well, you play drums, right? And I was like, yeah. Well, you have a drum kit. Yeah, yeah. Well, I have a friend who's, I guess, Niravatra they weren't even Niravatra yet.
Mm-mm.
They were on a break, COVID, all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's like, he's kind of like really wants to play. And so I was like, okay. So she kind of connected us. And it was like, yeah, it was just kind of, and it's an ordeal to like bring a drum kit to someone's house,
yeah, for
set
sure.
it all up. And then we jammed together and it was awesome. Like we had all the same like influences, and like every band I brought up, he's like, oh yeah, this album or that song or whatever. And so at the end of the jam, I was just like, it's gonna be awkward if I have to like pack all this back up.
Yeah.
It's like, so he's like, dude, I'd love to do this again. I was like, okay, well, is it cool if I leave the drums here? And he was like, absolutely.
This was right over here, right?
This was right down the street. Yeah. And at that time it was COVID. I was like kind of doing work from home stuff. Yeah, I mean, it was like 3 days a week we would get together and jam or whatever it was. And
he's a super chill dude too, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it just started out, since I didn't really get this part when I spoke with him. So Modern Primate basically just started out from a mutual friend that knew to both of you guys and kind of connected you guys.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. And then who came in next?
Who did we get next? I don't remember if it might have been Ricky.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was Eric, because we wanted him as a guitar player.
Everybody does.
And he was a good guitar player, but kind of, it was like a little more like that thrash metal.
That's what he plays.
And we had kind of a different vibe going. And I don't think he felt like it fit. And so he was kind of like disinterested. And then we picked Ricky up, and he was a little more of the same, but a little like just a little wilder, and it was kind of chunky and heavy, and it sounded good enough. And then we brought Eric in to play bass, and that didn't really work out with Ricky all that well.
We all know that.
Yeah, it doesn't really work out for any band.
Yeah,
that has Ricky in it. It turns out, and I didn't know anything about that. I didn't grow up around here. I didn't know the histories of any. I had no idea that like all of these bands had traded people, and like everybody's played with everybody.
Oh fuck yeah, man!
Yeah, I didn't realize how deep it goes until we started playing the Warehouse.
And then you're like, oh, that goes in that band, that goes in that band.
Yeah, and Mark's just introducing me to fucking everybody. He was like, oh, yeah, I was in a band with that guy, and that guy was in a band with my ex-girlfriend, and this and that and the other thing. And I was just like, holy crap, you guys all know each other.
Yep.
And I there was a couple of shows where I was like the only outsider. And I was
but you were accepted.
I'm just meeting everybody.
But you were accepted.
It's true. I was accepted pretty easily.
The only people in this town that I know that have been jamming together longer than anybody is Mark and Jason.
Oh yeah,
from Niravatra. They've been jamming together since high school.
That's awesome.
And they've been in, I think, five different bands together. And
that's pretty awesome. I got to play Jason's drum kit at our last show.
Do you like?
Yeah, it's nice. I didn't think
outside, right? No.
Yeah, it was behind what used to be King's Bluff.
Oh, so that was for Torteville.
Yeah.
So you guys actually played. He had his own drum set.
Yeah, so they were going to bring the house kit from Revel House, but he was like, dude, I'll just bring mine. It's a nice kit. And so we set that up, and we all played on that. But I didn't realize how much different it was going to be. Like,
oh, yeah.
And he's a bigger guy than me, and everything's like higher.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, crap. I just kind of assumed, like, oh, okay, I'll just put these cymbals up here. And it was just complete, like all of my muscle memory just went out the window.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, my God, like I don't have my extra hat.
Is it that big? Is that big? Is that a big difference though? Real?
Like, oh well, the way I have things set up, it is. I've kind of created that on my own, like because I wanted to put a lot of stuff on the right side of the kit. Like I have most.
Are you right-handed or left-handed?
I'm right-handed, but to have an open posture is just easier on your body. And so I have like an open hi-hat over there that's just too easy to kind of go do that. And I mean, you take that out of the equation. Now I've got a cross and but I have everything planned out to go to this cymbal and this cymbal. Now I've got to reach over and it's all just makes everything easier.
You have open hi-hat and a closed hi-hat or just open?
Yeah, so I keep both of them open. But I will clamp the one on my left if I need a closed one with like double kicks.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So you guys form during COVID.
Yep.
And then you guys just come out the fucking gates running.
Oh yeah, we had 6 songs. And they all wanted to like, oh, let's do covers, and I'm like, no, we're on a writing streak right now. We're shut up about covers. Like we don't need to fill time.
No.
Right? We just need to finish these songs. That's it. And now we've got the time, right? And so we had like 6 songs. Our very first show at the Warehouse was a battle of the bands.
Yes, I remember that.
I think Chunder won.
Yeah.
Now they're good friends of ours.
Yeah.
That was the first time me meeting anybody there.
Samantha Knight was the judge, right?
I forget who the judges were, but I know that somebody was not happy with Ricky. And from what I understand, we were told that we lost because of that. However, I don't know, because there was that jar that you would put your tickets in. So there was like
we've been there.
A fan vote.
Yeah. And
we definitely had that without a doubt. But they voted for Chunder. I think we came in 3rd.
Why? No.
I don't know.
So your first show was about bands.
Yeah, which is wacky. And that was probably the biggest stage I had played in a very long time. Like,
that was a nice stage.
It was like to just have our first show on that stage. And they had played it a bunch. They knew what they were getting into.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And I was like, oh my God, this is a lot of people. Like, we're so new. Like, I just don't want to fuck up.
I guess so during that time before Modern Primate, I had to think what band I was talking about. Modern Primate, I had seen Trailer, like, I got a friend request from Mark Trailer. I'm like, who the fuck's Mark Trailer? So I asked Mark Slaughter, I was like, do you know Mark Trailer? He's like, no, but he asked me to be. I was like, we didn't know. We didn't know. And then, but then I was like, okay. And then Mark was like, hey, I got Mark Trailer in our band now. And I'm like, wait, that one? He's like, yeah. Apparently he had a band and we played together. And then I was like, well, then when I got to know Mark, he was like, yeah, man, no, I remember you from back in the day. I used to date Lex from FSN. And I was like, holy fuck, you don't look the same.
Yeah, no.
Because he was a bigger gentleman at the time, but now that I see him, I could see that face with his dreadlocks he had, dreads. The white boy dreads, you know. And I was like, holy fuck, that's so insane that I don't remember. I remember that now, but it took me that long to realize.
Yeah, there are roots that go deep in this town with all the bands.
Oh,
like,
fuck man.
We'll just go somewhere and some band will be playing, and JJ will fucking, I've known this guy like forever.
Oh yeah, JJ's been around for,
Oh yeah.
I messaged him actually today, and I was like, look, man, I'm seeing all these old bands put their stuff up. When the fuck are you putting FSN on fucking streaming services?
Yeah, that's true. I saw Nathan, formerly of Hidden Sixes, put a Sub Method thing up, and I was just like, oh, is he going to try to do that again? I don't.
Yeah. He that was a band back in the day, man. I mean, they had those bands, that were like boosh, and like I've seen Sub Method so many different times over the years, and he was in a band before then called Community Spoon.
Yeah. And
then he was in Sub Method. Sub Method was pretty popular back in the day, They would open up all the bigger shows and shit. Got to see them several different times. One thing about Nathan, the man has a fucking stage presence from hell.
He does.
He can control a crowd. Yeah, so I mean that was and then he Hidden Sixes comes out and it's the same fucking energy on stage,
I loved Hidden Sixes because so their first show, I think it was their first show as Hidden Sixes, was at the Warehouse, and it was like our second show or whatever.
And it was sold the fucking.
And that's when me and Mike, I didn't realize that I knew Mike from working at CP Rigging.
Oh really?
He gave me my forklift certification at that place.
Wow.
Because you start a new job, you got to get a new certification. He was the guy instructing. And so we had worked together at CP Rigging. I didn't even realize at the time, but I met Byrne and all those guys. They were so much fun.
They're so nice, man.
Yeah.
They're such nice guys.
And we ended up playing probably the show that shouldn't have been. I don't know if you heard the story or not. So we had a show lined up for Louisville. This was a Ricky thing.
This was the Louisville show. Okay, but I know you're going to tell me the story. But let me see if I know the story. Did you guys play this show?
We ended up playing it, yeah.
With Hidden Sixes?
With Hidden Sixes.
At some fucking random dive type bar?
Oh, yeah.
All right, go ahead and tell the story.
So we had this thing lined up, and I'm like, okay, Louisville. And it's like, all right, cool. Well, then the promoter called Ricky, and he said, so the club was the downstairs. There was a tattoo shop upstairs, I think. And they shared parking with a self-storage. And so when they would have shows, they would fill up the parking, and people would park in front of the gate for the self-storage.
Okay.
And then somebody would come to try to get their crap out of storage, and they can't get in. They call the management. Management has to call the cops, and the cops are like, well, we have to figure this out, this whole parking situation. So they shut down the club until they could, do whatever they needed to do. And so the promoter is like, hey, man, we had to shut down the club, but I have another club and another promoter that I'm going to hand you guys off to. And at that point, I was like, absolutely not. This is just destined for failure. It's not enough time to promote the show now. It was maybe a week or something like that. And I was like, man, this is going to suck. But we said okay anyway. It was like, hey, it's a show with Hidden Sixes, and we loved those guys.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we go out to this place called the County Line Swinging Doors. We pulled up, and it had a cool little back area. But so it was a bar, and it was a clubhouse for bikers against child abuse, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And it was this little tiny bar that they had done an addition to, which was all just plywood, and they had it was covered and everything, but it was all plywood and stone, and they had like 2 bars in there and a stage and like no PA. And I'm like looking around, like there's no PA, there's no lights. Like, okay, like, but when we walked in, like all these ladies were like, hey, there's food, there's, let me get you a beer. And I was like, okay, these people are nice. And like, all right, we'll just rock this place out. I just didn't have any hopes whatsoever. And then this dude, Alan Ashball, shows up in a pickup truck with a bunch of shit in the back of it. And he's that guy. He's got so much charisma, this guy. And how y'all doing? Blah, blah, blah. I got this guy. He's going to do lights and all this stuff. He was like, I got the PA here. And they start like dumping gear. And then another truck showed up with more gear.
Holy shit.
And I'm telling you, they had like power tools. They were just zapping lights into the ceiling, running all the lines. They had like this big giant PA. And he had like manual, like those hog kind of controllers for the lights and stuff. And I walked back in and I'm like, holy crap. Like, okay, they really like did something. And I remember that show being out of this fucking world. Like, it was crazy. There were not a lot of people there. And beforehand, they'd done like they had a bunch of the bikers against child abuse. Like, they did like a testimonial thing, and they had like, these big biker dudes like breaking down and like tearing up because of stories of like they protect child abuse victims in court and stuff like that.
Really?
Like, so they'll like take them to court and sit with them to face their abusers and stuff like that. It's really heavy shit. And I was like, man, this guy, like, it was emotional.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
then all of a sudden, I don't remember what the opening band was called, but they were cool. I want to say they were like a 2-piece or a 3-piece. They were super cool. They had like an amp that lit up. It was really good. And then, Sixes just blow the doors off any place.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And then we played, I remember at one point, I don't know if it was like the effects that were going on one of the guitars, but it just kind of got like fishy and I kind of lost where I was at, but I just kept going. And then a blue light was shining if I couldn't see anything. And I was like, I hope I'm not fucking this. But then all of a sudden I was like, oh, hey, we ended the song. I was like, all I did was just continue to play. Like, I didn't know what was going on, but I just continued to play. And that ended up being like one of the best shows we ever did. They start like handing out like Jello shots and like everybody's having a blast. Like, it was so much fun. Ever since then, we have played pretty much anything Alan Ashball ever asked us to do. He does a cancer benefit every year. We're going to play again this year. I remember last year we played his cancer benefit, and we played on like this trailer stage. It was about 20 minutes before we go on stage. I was just having a beer, watching whoever's playing. And I was like, well, I'm just going to use the Porta John. So I go and use the Porta John. And as soon as I close the door of the Porta John, it was a wasp.
Oh, shit.
Hits me right in the face.
Oh,
I
shit.
take off my hat, and it's like absolute pandemonium. Like, I'm like clinking around, and I can't find this thing. And then finally I hit it, gets on the ground, and I stomp it. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't think he got me. So I'm peeing. I'm about mid-pee when I can like feel like my cheek.
Swell.
I was like, he might have got me. He might have got me. I was like, but at least this looked funny from the outside. Like, if anybody's standing outside, they're probably going to be like, what the fuck happened to you in there? Like, and I walk out, nobody. And I'm like, really?
No
I
one
have to
believes me.
this is like, nobody can laugh at this with me. So I didn't even get to look at it. I just walked right over to the beer lady and I was like, can I get 2 beers? Like, one to go on stage and another one to just put on my face, because I just got stung by a wasp. And she was like, oh, yeah, I could see it. She was like, it's not bad yet. But so I just put a beer and I was just like kind of miserable from that point. But we ended up playing such a great show. it never ended, got like too crazy. It was a little swollen. And I was like, of course I had to get stung in the face, like right in the face. It could have been my arm, could have been my leg, whatever, but right in the frickin' face.
Luckily it didn't swell too big and you looked like you had
and that's what I was worried about. Like I think that was the night I gave my camera to Misty, and I set it up that all she had to do was like half press to focus and press it. She didn't have to mess with anything. Got some really good shots out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, cause, for some reason when we play shows, you've seen it. Like you go to a show and there's like 4 people, like hobby photographers that are just into it. Mm-hmm. They don't show up to our shows. We have to like hire a photographer to get any shots. Occasionally, like Sophia will be around, but she's kind of not around as much. And we just don't get that thing. Like, so we never get pictures of ourselves ever at any shows.
I've noticed that. Like, I noticed that too with us when we were taking under. We never had. It's like, man, we get any pictures? No. Anyone get any videos? No. Great.
I remember we tried to. We were supposed to play a show, but then we got a tornado. And so it got canceled, and we tried to hire somebody.
Was that recently?
It was not this past tornado, but I was thinking this was the tornado before that one, the one that like ripped through exit 1.
Okay,
that one. Yeah, we were supposed to play at the Rebel House, and then I was like loading up after the tornado went through. It was like, okay, we're all good. Okay, let's go grab the gear, and then she was like, "What?" She's one of those people that, well, if you play tonight to just anybody who's walking by who just wants to get out of the house and have a beer, like, I'm not going to bring you back for like another 6 months. So I'd rather you be on a proper show. So we just kind of squashed it and was like, okay, that's fine. And, so we were going through this, like, they were like, well, who should we get? Like, cause I've never hired a photographer. And we went, I'm not going to mention who it was, but somebody was going to charge, like, I think it was $300, which is a normal price. And they were going to give each of the bands 5 pictures. And I was like, 5 pictures? I was like, I can't. That's like 20 pictures. Yeah. Like the whole thing. 20 pictures. I was like, I can't even give one band just 20 pictures. Like, maybe I have a problem. Yeah. Maybe this is not normal what I do, but like, I can't even fathom only producing 20 pictures from a show. Like, it doesn't even equate in my mind. And I was like, well, that seems a bit steep for 20 pictures.
Fuck yeah.
And then I was like, I think my buddy Felix would do it. And so I hit up Felix, but at the same time I was hitting up Felix, he would have been happy to do it. We had gotten this other guy who played that outdoor, you remember the warehouse benefit thing in Oak Grove?
Yes, I did.
He was just walking around, shooting around with that. And he did a pretty good job. And so I guess at the same time I was reaching out to Felix, JJ was reaching out to him, and that guy said he'd do it. And we almost forgot to call him and tell him the show was canceled because of the freaking tornado. But yeah, and then so it never happened. We never got a photographer.
I think I know who the photographer was actually, but yeah, because it was supposed to be you guys, Neo Vatra. Was it Symptoms of the Universe?
No, I think it was that. No, it was Symptom. Because, I'm pretty sure it was Symptom. Because I don't think they had played up here.
Yeah, did they never
We ended up playing a show with them at the Pea Patch.
Yeah, okay. So and then
which was like a 2 days. So we played with them at Flavor 90s the one night, and then the next night we played with them here.
How was Flavor 90s?
It's a cool spot. It's like it's all 90s out. That's the only house music they play is like 90s cool. Rap or grunge or whatever.
I've seen the pictures of the inside. It looks really cool.
That's where I'm going tomorrow to shoot that. I'm going to mess up the name of it, but it's like all female-fronted rock.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's being put on by Lauren Freeberg.
Okay, I think I've seen a flyer for that.
She asked if I would come shoot it.
I think somebody posted a flyer. I got a lot of people in Nashville, and I think I've seen that one go up. I know tonight. Is it tonight? Is the benefit or the get together for the drummer of?
I think that's been moved to. I think it's June.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I want to say that I put down that I was interested.
Actually, I think I'm going to be gone at the end of June, and there's something going on that I wanted to go to, and I can't go to because I'll be gone. And then in July, there's something I want to go to, but I'll be gone. But I think that benefit will be pretty, or that gap.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be huge. And
I may take the day off of work just to go down and shoot it.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of people stopping by. I mean, I know Aaron Lewis lives in Nashville.
Yeah, and I mean, so when I first saw them, I shot them when they played with Defiant Mechanism, and that was a big deal. At
The first show?
It was at the Exit Inn.
Yeah.
I got some really great shots of them, and like now I like it feels weird that I got like at least 2 really great shots of him, and so I was happy to have posted them, and they reposted them because I don't. They might. I mean, they're kind of a bigger deal. I would say there's probably a good photographer at every one of their shows, so I think that kind of gets lost in the minutia or whatever. But I was happy to have like had something original to post that I felt like there was one shot that he has, like, I don't know what he was doing, but he has his drumstick up to his forehead, and I think he's still playing, and it just like was a cool vibe of that picture. I really like the picture.
You never saw Lydia's Castle when they played the Warehouse?
I don't think I ever caught them. Maybe I did.
Okay, so Lydia's Castle played the Warehouse one night. This is the one I remember. I've seen them twice. And then the another band that had played before them had a chick singer as well with colored hair, and she had like Asperger's maybe but when she was on stage, that's where she felt. That's what she was herself.
Oh, wow.
You know. But they were really good. But I've seen Lydia's Castle at the Warehouse 2 or 3 different times.
I might have seen them, back in that era.
And didn't remember because I know I believe they played the Warehouse with. I'm not going to say because I don't remember. It might have been. It might have been one of the maybe Hidden Sixes, or one of the versions. But they're really good. Lydia's Castle is really good. I didn't realize that drummer was also in Soil.
I didn't realize that either. I remember somebody had. I think it might have been Josh or somebody that was like another drummer that was like kind of geeking out on it. Because I ended up meeting him, and at the time, he was a really great drummer. Yeah. I didn't know his history,
and I did. It's it's like once you get older, it's just, you don't really get the same. Like, oh my god, when you were like 16.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really cool. But no, so is tomorrow night? You said, like, is it gonna be like cover band?
So I don't really know what they're doing. I know that it's going to be a gathering of a lot of female fronted, and then I think they're trading in, like, I want to say like Eli is going to be there, the Monster bass player. I think they're going to be trading off a lot of different players and stuff, and I'm really interested to see how it goes.
So I think it's kind of like when they do every so often, like the goth night where they'll do like industrial, they do like Nine Inch Nails, and everybody will just do stuff. Or they'll do like the Ozfest one where people do like different cover stuff.
Yeah. I've never actually gotten to catch one of those.
Neither have I.
The grunge nights or anything, and I want to say it's typically like a weekday.
Yeah, because I think it's easier to get those ones booked during the week.
Yeah.
I know Hunter from Up Serpents and Tyler from Up Serpents, they both did 2 different gigs at one of those little fests one time.
I've always wanted to catch one of those because, I mean, and even if somebody asked me to do one, that's another one that I would want to do, like, a Nirvana or whatever. I would want to take off work just so I could go down there and do that, because those musicians are like, they're just so killer.
I mean, you don't realize how much talent's in that town.
Oh, it's fucking crazy. And like Lizzie Hale just stops by, Chris Daughtry, all these people, because I think they recognize some of the names, and they're just like, oh yeah, that's an amazing guitar player.
And I'm sure they know the local talent as well, and they know, and they got friends that are helping put the show together. They have one called Rare Hair.
Yep.
And I want to check them out.
Those are killer shows.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one yet.
Yeah.
But I know all my friends go.
I've not seen them, but they're killer.
Yeah.
I've seen footage
There's
online.
shows that I'm like, I want to go to that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of those cool cover bands. I know in Nashville actually has a Bad Religion cover band.
Really?
Yeah, they're called No Control. And that'd be pretty fucking cool to go see.
I saw Bad Religion in Germany at an outdoor festival, and it was muddy, to say the least. It was cool. It was really a fun show.
Yeah. Me and Eric went to go see Descendants and Circle Jerks about last month, and he was telling me that he went to somewhere on the East Coast to go visit one of his kids or something with school, and he just happened to look up, and Bad Religion was playing there. I think it was like Milwaukee or something. He's never seen Bad Religion in his life, so he was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go tonight.
Yeah.
It just happened to be the singer's hometown, and he's playing there, and he gets to go see him play in his hometown.
That's rad.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
I'm next month I guess it's fucking June already. So July.
Yeah, technically.
Yeah, July. I'm gonna be going to Denver to go see 2 nights of No Effects, and night 1 is MXPX, Lagwagon, like those kind of punk swinging utters and shit. Night 2, and there's some other band I'm forgetting, but night 2 is No Effects obviously headlining, and both nights are playing 2 different sets. But night 2 it's them, Suicidal, Comeback Kid. I fucking can't remember the other, but it's like a stack. Sunday's actually bigger than fucking Saturday, but I'm like, man, that's kind of cool to go see. Anyway, enough of that one.
Is Thomas Pridgen still drumming for Suicidal now?
Okay, so Suicidal. No. It's not. It's Jay Weinberg.
Oh, is it?
Because so here's the connection here. So Jay Weinberg was in Slipknot. So Slipknot gets rid of Jay.
Mm-hmm.
The drummer from Slipknot now was the drummer for Sepultura.
Yeah.
Well, Sepultura puts their notice that, hey, we're going to do our last tour. Well, he ends up fucking leaving Sepultura, going to go play for Slipknot. Jay goes to Suicidal, whatchamacallit, and the drummer for Sepultura was the old drummer for Suicidal.
Yeah, it might have been Thomas Pridgen.
Is he young? Is he a young kid?
Black guy. Like,
no. Just
like in like next level.
No, this guy.
Next level drummer.
This guy is like kind of white, maybe Hispanic-ish. He's a younger guy, but it's just crazy how they all slipped around.
Yeah, he's got an interesting. He looks like a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him on Drumeo.
Yeah, Drumeo, that shit. I love watching that shit.
Oh, did you see? Well, Chad Smith playing that 30 Seconds to Mars song.
He killed it. Though,
Absolutely destroyed it.
And it's like they've never, what's really crazy? These drummers in these bands that have never heard these other bands in those same genre.
Yeah.
The one though, that I can't remember the drummer, what he drummed for, older black gentleman. And he did, was it Slipknot or something? It was some weird band, but he was I just like watching it because one of the guys just did Primus the other, like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, really?
And he was just like, holy shit, like what the fuck? It was Dream Theater.
Mike Portnoy.
Yeah, he
did the Tool.
That's what it was.
Numa.
Tool.
Like, dude.
And he was like,
I'm sure they were like, oh, he can handle this. And to watch him struggle really made me feel good. Not that I don't like Mike Portnoy, is that it really makes you feel like, oh, he's human. Oh, yeah. And these songs are really that hard.
Yeah, he was like, oh, you give me fucking Tool? Like, yeah. His son, Mike's son, drums for Code Orange.
Really?
That's his son back there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, when before they announced who it was, because they didn't want, they made him wear a mask.
Oh, they probably didn't want
they didn't want to know.
Oh, that's Portnoy's kid.
Exactly. Well, the drummer went to vocals, and then they needed a because the drummer was doing vocals at the same time. Well, then he went to go there, and they got him on drums, and he's a fucking beast on drums.
That happens a lot, like more often than you think. Chris Cornell was the original drummer for Soundgarden.
Yeah.
And then he's obviously a great songwriter and singer. And then so when they got, what's his name? Matt Cameron. And I think it was Rick Beato or something asked him like, well, did you like, hey, I think I'm going to change this up. And he was like, no, his drum parts were really great. Like he's a really great drummer. Yeah. He was like, I was just trying to like uphold what he had already written. Like he was like, so you didn't put your own flair? He was like, absolutely not. He already wrote a good drum part. Like there was nothing I could do to make it any better. And then I guess like after that, you kind of just want to write with that in mind, that it's like what happened with that poor kid in the Foo Fighters, dude from Sunny Day Real Estate.
Oh yeah, and he was just like,
and he goes in to record and Dave just behind his back redid all of the drums. Yep. And that can be like the kid was like 19 or 20 years old. That could be really kick in the gut. And he left the band. Yeah. He was like, no, we still want you to tour. And he's like, nah, how about you fuck yourself?
Yeah, that's one thing though. But I guess now it's, Dave Grohl reminds me kind of like a Trent Reznor. They write what they want, they get what they want, they do what they want, and then they're like, but these guys in the band know.
Yeah,
what's
this
going
is
on.
The gig, right?
Yeah. Okay, I'll fucking play with Dave Grohl.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, well, you've just got to ride that wave. I remember when they stole Taylor from Alanis Morissette, and Dave was like I guess Taylor had tried out or whatever, and he was like, yeah, I think you're the guy, and he was like, well, And Dave's like, well, you're like, this band isn't like Alanis. Like, Alanis is already huge.
Yeah.
Like, there's a career there that you're leaving for a band that may or may not kind of be anything. Like, he's like, no, this is what I want. It's like a tight knit band. Like, this is what I want.
It was more his style too,
Yeah, and I mean that was just history now. I mean,
I think I have this conversation often, but I actually think Foo Fighters is probably one of the last rock bands that we're gonna have from our era, because there's not going to be a band that's that big.
That's legit rock.
Yeah.
And
that's not going to fizzle away, because they're gonna, they're gonna
oh, it's super timeless. Yeah, there's no question they're going to be using like Everlong in commercials and shit forever.
Obviously I'm sure you watched it too, the tribute show they aired from England, which was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
But what's her name from the Pretenders, Sissy Hines.
Yeah.
She's like, what the fuck doesn't this guy play? He plays everything. Like, Dave Grohl's up there fucking playing guitar, playing fucking bass, singing, playing drums. Like, he does it fucking all, dude. And he doesn't suck at any of it.
Yeah.
Nope. I bet you he's just one of the most genuine. He's just a genuine dude. Like, what you see is probably what you get when you.
100%.
He's Mr. Rock and Roll.
I love that he has an obsession with barbecue now.
I think he's always been doing it, because his grandfather and stuff had their own business back in DC.
Well, I read recently, because I thought that was just his thing, but I read recently that the bass player got him a big green egg during COVID, and he did like one rack of ribs or something, and he remembers like his family like really liked it, and so he's like, well, let's do it again tomorrow. And that just spawned this thing to where now he's running huge pits with like pulled pork and all this different stuff for like thousands of people.
Yeah, I've seen where he set up kitchens and gave out free food for the homeless.
Homeless, and like
he'll do for
hurricane relief or at festivals. Like, he'll just go back there and start.
He's such a dope dude, man.
And there are very few of those dudes left in like rock and roll that you could tell. Did you ever see his Hot Ones?
Oh yeah.
So I love Hot Ones. I've seen every episode, and then when I didn't even know Dave was going to be on, and I saw it, I was just like, dude, the fact that the whole thing was like an homage to Dimebag Darrell.
Oh yeah.
Didn't even occur to me, because I've never heard it in an interview or anything. Like, I know he likes metal, but he never mentioned Dimebag. But I think secretly that's like his favorite guitar player. And he just kind of kept that to himself. And then it all kind of came out on that Hot Ones, which I still think is one of the best Hot Ones.
I was about to say, which one is your favorite?
By far. I mean, there's some good ones. I like seeing people kind of beast it. Like that girl that plays Wednesday Addams. She's a super cute.
Oh, fucking Ortega.
Yeah, Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, she
completely
was
fucking
But here's
the
thing is, when you look at her, she has that face where she can just like, even if she's hurt, she just has that mean mug face. Like, no, Yeah, that was a good one. I just watched recently. I haven't watched too many of the newer ones, but the Conan O'Brien one had
Conan O'Brien
rolling, dude.
was awesome. But as far as I understand, that was like a series or a season finale. So I think he kind of embellished it. So I watched bits and pieces of his podcast, and he's brought it up on a couple of things. If you ever get a chance, so I know it's on. I don't know where that airs, like the full episodes, but
of his podcast.
Yeah,
I think. I mean, you could find it on YouTube, but
YouTube they put up like 3 shorts.
That's the Conan's best friend, or Conan needs a friend.
Conan needs a friend.
Yeah. I listened to it.
He had Chris Robinson from the Black Crowes on, and let me tell you, that guy is fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, the one that Chris Robinson did with Bill Maher was really good.
I had no idea he was like. They were a band that I liked, but I never dove into. Yeah. I never like.
Oh, great!
Like I always liked what I heard on on the radio or whatever, and like they're a great band, but I never dove into them for some reason.
I might be wrong. I think I can't remember now. I do know, but now that I'm thinking about it, because when you're on the spot. But the drummer, either the drummer or bass player from Hoptown.
Really?
Yeah, and then he moved on down to Alabama or Georgia, where the fuck they're Black Crowes.
I didn't know that.
I love the Black Crowes, man. It's one of those bands that I got into during when they first showed up, and they weren't like anything else I listened to, and now their new record that just came out last month is phenomenal, dude. That's one band I want to see.
He told a story about almost like not getting booed, but they opened up some show, and it was like them and Winger, and then like Metallica and Aerosmith, and like these people didn't know who they were, and these people are like throwing stuff at the stage or whatever, and he just beasted through it, and then Winger gets up there, or Warrant, or one of those bands, and they like got like Warrant sucks, like the entire stadium, and that's when Chris was like, "Yeah, I guess we weren't as bad as that, right?" I mean, it was still, even though we kind of got booed, like it wasn't that bad.
Well, there's a story that I heard. So Ricky Rackman, everybody knows Ricky Rackman.
Yeah.
He had that Cat House back in the day, that club, and there was a band back in that era called Junkyard, okay, which is a great fucking band. Well, they were about to go on tour, and this band called the Black Crows got a gig at this Cat House, right? And they're like, "What the fuck is this band?" They're rolling the fucking piano up and shit. And they're like, "What the fuck is this band?" Well, they go on tour, and by the end of the tour, they had to swap the spots because the Black Crows has gotten so big during that tour because of She Talks to Angels came out, and all that stuff, and it's just like. They were like, "Holy fuck, this band out of nowhere." We thought this band was going to be horrible, and now they're the fucking biggest thing out there right now.
And they were different than everybody else.
Oh, fuck yeah, man. And that's one band that I've always wanted to see. I've missed them every time they've come. They're coming back in November, I believe, and I'm going to try to go see them. I can't remember exactly its window.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up because for some reason, like I've always liked their music, but they kind of still flew under my radar. I never like dug deep to find like cool B-sides or anything.
They're just, I mean... The first three records are a great record. Southern Harmony, and that album, the second album, that one's really good. And then America was really good with the censored cover with the chick with the big bush on.
Yeah, he claims that the second album was their best.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like he was like, we've still not been able to top that album.
And some people say, "Oh, they're a hippie band." They are fucking hippies, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I mean, they had that aesthetic too. I mean, like the bell bottoms and all that.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
and they still look like that. You know? Yeah, they're a really good band. I really enjoyed them.
But I kind of had like, so back then I used to go on tangents where I would like listen to like Blues Traveler. Like I would just go on a Blues Traveler kick or whatever. I would just pick a band. And just that's all I listen to for a little while. Like I'll probably be on E-Town Concrete. Like I'll go straight to like their albums.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I'll listen to like Second Coming a couple of times, and then I'll go like the Renaissance or whatever. And then I'll like just move on to another band, and then like do another deep dive, like refresh my memory.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean I do that often.
And I just never did that with the Black Crows, and I probably past due that I deep dive on the Black Crows.
I think you'd enjoy it, man. I think you'd enjoy it. You say you listen to it and you'll go listen to albums and stuff. I can't listen to like say Pandora, or because I'll hear a song and I'll be like, and then I'll hear in my head
next song.
Yeah, then I'm like, fuck, I gotta listen to that album now. That happens all the time. But one thing I like about on Spotify, if an album ends, it starts the radio.
Yeah.
And a lot of them radio stations are fucking great.
Oh, yeah.
They got some good stuff. You talking about E-Town. What do you think of that new single they dropped at the end of last year?
I like it, but I think it's different.
Yeah.
It's not quite that old, I don't know.
I'm ready
for something about that, like Dirty Jersey and like all that. It was like
they're back out. They're fucking like everyone's fucking.
Really?
Yeah, they're doing all the hardcore fests and shit.
Oh, shit.
I believe they have an album coming out. I
wonder if they'll actually make some merch.
Go to
I haven't been able to find any. I've been doing cursory searches.
There's a link I have that makes their stuff. They've reprinted all the old stuff too.
Okay.
Like the Graffiti Dude with the fucking world, I actually have a old ass E-Town shirt, and it's when I was skating, so it's extra large. It's like baby blue and shit. Because me and Slaughter went and saw Hatebreed, Vision of Disorder, E-Town Concrete in Nashville back in like early 2000s. And that was so fucking dope.
I've seen Hatebreed a couple of times, and they never had a bad show.
Did you see it here?
I sasaw the one here. It was like at the one at O'Connor's.
Yeah,
that was like my birthday weekend, and me and Misty went. Dude. And it was a Hatebreed and Clutch. Like
in Clarksville, come on.
Yeah,
man.
that was crazy good, and there weren't a lot of people.
There's my Hatebreed tour pass up there when I got the meet and greet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have the the big Clutch poster.
Yeah.
It's basically that picture and a big poster. Yeah, it was a really great show. And my buddy was working security. He's worked, off and on for them forever, security. And
for Clutch?
He's just, no, for O'Connor's.
O'Connor, okay.
And he's just hanging out. And there's this one guy, he must have been like a green, like just a new to security. And everybody's like, Hatebreed, people are like getting a little rough.
Oh, they got rowdy
and
out
so
there.
he was trying to break people up so much that he was causing more problems. And so my buddy like brings it back. Hey, man, they're going to do this. This is what they do. Yeah. Just make sure nobody gets hurt. Make sure nobody like goes flying or whatever. Just let them do it. It's like their own thing.
Yeah.
Let them do their thing. And so he kind of like said, I think he got it. And then Clutch was about to come up. And you see him like kind of like adjusting himself. And I was like, don't worry, dude. Clutch is not that. Like,
no, totally.
It's a completely different band. He's like, are you sure, man? Are you sure, man? Like, got to make sure everybody, blah, blah, blah. Like, dude. And my buddy's like, dude, relax. Everybody's fine. They're all friends.
Clutch is a great live band.
It's really great. I've seen him a couple times too.
I saw them in Nashville a few years back. It was Clutch and COC.
I've never saw COC. Always wanted to.
I can't remember the other band that opened up. They were like a stoner, like kind of doomy band, which was they're fucking great. And they're a bigger band, but I can't remember them just to say.
I saw Clutch in Germany.
Yeah,
yeah, it's a pretty good show.
What's it? Damn it, I always forget. Neil. No.
Yeah, Neil Fallon.
He can fuck his voice, dude.
Yeah.
It's such a unique voice.
It's unique, yeah.
You know, and some of the covers that they've done, or he pulls them off so well.
He's also a very well-versed guy. Like, he's super smart.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah. Isn't
just his history and all that. Like, he just reads a lot. And that's why I think he can come up with, like, interesting lyrics and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Their lyrics are out there for me. I'm just like, okay. Like the first two albums, man, that's when I got into them, and those albums are still flawless, man.
Yeah, with like Space Grass, that was a big deal for high school with us.
Marcus,
yeah, Shotgun Named Marcus.
I saw them on, which is the album with the fucking lamp on it. So something Speedway.
Yeah,
that whatever album that was. I saw them on that tour in Nashville, and that was great. That was like a 90 something. But yeah, they're one of those bands that if they come in around, I love to go see them. My neighbor, he's a huge fucking Clutch fan, but he never got to see them. So we went probably in 2010 maybe. We went to Knoxville and saw them in a theater. So I know you've been to Knoxville. On Gay Street, you know, Gay Street's like one of their main streets. Then there's a big old school theater that says Tennessee on it. Well, across the street there was like another type of theater, but that's where Clutch was. So I got to see Clutch on this show in like a auditorium where you all just sat down and enjoyed your evening with Clutch. It was
that's
so
cool.
fucking dope.
That's very cool.
Did you go to any other shows at O'Connor's?
I don't think I ever saw any of the bigger shows there. No,
I saw. I got to see.
I know Black Label came through, and everybody.
I didn't
went
get to go to that one. The week or two before that, or maybe a month before that, David Allen Cole was there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I think that was the first show I had seen outdoors on that big stage.
I saw the Bullet Boys and Enough's Enough there, and then I saw Fozzy there.
Fozzy,
yeah, that was a great show. I'm like, that was a great show. Not Terror, fucking Terror. Hatebreed, Clutch. Was there a Kane Potter band opened up or Kane?
Yes. And then they. I remember them being good, and I went to find like their merch. Like they didn't show up to their merch booth.
Huh.
I was talking to the guy from Clutch, and I looked over and I was like, these guys even like know that like people were here. Like there were people like, oh, where are these guys at? Like they didn't even show up to their merch to sell anything.
Yeah, I got one of them cool Hatebreed Clarksville shirts.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I don't think I ended up getting a shirt.
Yeah, you know, you're talking about drumheads and shit earlier, and just there was in Nashville one time. I guess Every Time I Die had played, or maybe it wasn't them, or it could have even been Steel Panther. I don't know how I got those two mixed up, but no, because they do the artwork on the drumheads, and somebody did a Predators one.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But I think that's a way to make $1, you know. And
Every Time I Die, I saw in Germany too.
Great live band.
I saw them at this place called the Botch Cop in Frankfurt, this legendary club, and we went. It was and we were in the army, and I went with a warrant officer, and we drove all the way out there. It was like a Wednesday, and we both had to be
in work,
at PT in the morning, and the place was like bare. I was putting my beer on the stage, so I had to step back to take pictures with my phone. Like there were some people that flew out from the States, from wherever they're from or whatever. Like he knew them.
Buffalo.
And it was absolutely crazy how few people there were there.
Really?
And then we went to the same place to see Killswitch Engage. My buddy's dad worked for a radio station and just gave us tickets.
Oh, wow.
We show up there. We couldn't get anywhere near that stage.
It was fucking packed.
We were all the way back in the back. And then, of course, it was another weekday. We had to go to PT in the morning. That's the night that they're like, hey, we're going to be out back at this beer garden. Come say hi and drink some beers with us. And I'm like, can I just call in sick tomorrow,
you can't do
dude?
that. Was Howard on vocals or Jesse?
It was... No, I think it was Jesse. Jesse had just come back.
Yeah. And I've seen them both times, and I'm a Howard fan.
I'm a Howard fan too.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty cool how he re-recorded In the Heartache. Did he re-record that?
Maybe.
One of those albums he had. There's like bonus track, and that was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think, man, his voice is fucking phenomenal. Him and the guitarist.
Yeah, he just started something new, right?
They're mixing and mastering that album now. So I want to hear it's the guitar player and Howard back together.
Yeah.
And then the guitar player, what the fuck is his name? I see him with the damn glasses.
Yeah, he's abnormally tall and lanky.
He started when Howard was in Killswitch. Him and Jesse started a band called that time to something. They started that. So it's like, man, at the end of the day, he still worked with all these guys,
Yeah.
But Killswitch is a fucking great band. Even their new stuff is good,
Yeah, that dude was on The Price is Right.
Yep.
Then he won.
Yeah, he won. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's such a fucking funny dude, man. When I saw them at Ozfest one year, he's wearing his big old fucking Bud Light cowboy hat he made and shit.
Yeah, I want to say when I saw him, he had a cape, and I think he was wearing a box on his head for a little while, like a beer case or whatever.
Or
he's just so interesting. And
weird.
Yeah,
and he's a great guitar player.
Oh yeah,
man. He's recorded some of the dopest records too for some of these bands out there.
Mm-hmm.
What's one of the coolest shows you've ever seen?
Man, I don't know. I've seen a lot of cool shows. So in Pennsylvania, we had clubs. I mean, you go to Philly, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Lancaster had a couple of really good clubs.
Say that again.
Lancaster.
Okay.
In Pennsylvania, it's Lancaster.
Okay. Like when you move to the south, it's not Louisville.
Yeah.
It's Louisville.
Exactly. Yeah. And we have a Lebanon, as opposed to down here it's Lebanon.
Yeah.
And then of course there's a country called Lebanon. But
that's what I used to call Lebanon.
Yeah. But we had a really cool club out there, and I remember me and my buddy Hank, who was my guitar player, we saw I want to say it was like Arch Enemy and Napalm Death.
Nice.
Like there were so many bands. There's that band that's not a band anymore, and they were really, really good. And I'm going to forget their name. They're from Ohio or whatever.
Are they a metal band?
Yeah. Man, it's right there. Can't remember.
From Ohio?
Yeah, I'm going to say Ohio, yeah. They had a documentary. They were pretty popular back then, too. But I remember somebody made fun of that band. It was like my guitar player's favorite band. And this kid was wearing an Opeth t-shirt. And we happened to see him in the pit. And so Hank was just like a much bigger dude than I was. So he like spun me around and just threw me into this guy. And I collided with this guy and wiped him the fuck out. Never saw him again. It was like, that's how teachers were making fun of my favorite band.
Is there a band that you wish you could have seen that you never saw?
Oh, like all of the 90s grunge.
Yeah. I wish I could. Okay.
I wish I'd have been of drinking age.
I would. Yeah. I think one of the biggest bands that I would like to have seen that I would have never even gotten to see because I was not even around would have been The Doors.
Yeah, The Doors would have been great to see. Yeah. And they didn't really play a lot of shows.
Yeah.
A lot of their shows are like pretty epic though. Yeah. I mean, to have been at like the Hollywood Bowl or whatever, see them.
Or be in Miami when he fucking had the damn goat on stage and he's fucking, it's just like, I've gotten to see some decent bands. I got to see Danzig and on Danzig 3 tour. I got to see Soundgarden on the first leg of the Bad Motorfinger tour. It was Soundgarden. It was Soundgarden, Monster Magnet, and Swerve Driver. And then when I saw Danzig, it was Danzig, White Zombie coming off right when Los Exorcisto came out.
Oh, nice.
And I cannot remember.
That was my favorite.
Oh, Caius opened up.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
Okay, yeah. That's a couple bucket list bands.
And then and then I'll throw this out there too. I got to see Alice in Chains with Lane in '92.
Never got to see any of that. I like now. Back then, I liked.
But you were younger.
I liked this band called Tad.
Fucking see, yeah, I saw Tad
dude,
open up for
now
Sonic Youth.
I am more a fan of Tad than I am a lot of the other stuff, and Snot, and like there were things that I liked, but I liked other things more. But now I'm like all in on Snot and Tad.
Tad was a big boy.
Oh yeah,
it was Sonic Youth headlining, Screaming Trees, Tad.
Mark Lanigan.
Yeah. Oh, rest in peace.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much shit that man had did.
Oh yeah. And he did like the extra Mad Season. He like filled in for Lane.
Mad Seasons was really good too.
Oh, such a great album.
Yeah, Mark Lanigan, that's one of those dudes like I just knew him from his solo shit and the Screaming Trees, but then after he passed,
he pops up
so
everywhere.
much more shit than I realized he did, because then you want to deep dive. Once somebody dies, you're like, let me deep dive on this guy.
Yeah, there's like all kinds of like B-sides, featuring Mark Lanigan. And you're like, oh my God. I ran into one recently. I want to say it was like a maybe it might have even been like a Soundgarden thing or something like that. It was just he was like backup singing.
Oh yeah, well just like for the longest time talking about this is not him, but you said Soundgarden. The longest time I thought Temple of Dog was always Eddie and Chris. Didn't realize the whole fucking time it was Chris. Eddie was on 2 songs and he backup vocal on like 1 song.
And the rest was a mixture with like Stone Gossard, I think, and yeah, so it was basically just a mashup of Soundgarden and Pearl Jam, but Eddie only did 2 of those songs.
Yeah. Well, it's like but like Mark Lanigan again, it's like some of the things that he was involved with, you're like, oh shit, I would never knew that, just like fucking Eddie Vedder he was on 2 or maybe 3 Bad Religion songs. Wouldn't fucking know that.
I never.
Because I went back and listened to the songs, and I'm like.
Well, shit. It was probably a year ago. I didn't realize that Jamie Josta was on an E-Town Concrete.
Oh fuck yeah!
And I don't know why I just never put that together.
Yeah.
Like I know that they know each other.
Yeah.
I know that it's kind of similar areas, and but I don't know why I never connected those dots.
Well, Straight Line Stitch, and the singer Lex, who's from Clarksville, fucking Jamie Josta was on their album. It's like
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, and then fucking Havey plays Clarksville,
I don't want to know what happened to Jamie's other band. He did
Ice Pick.
Well, not Ice Pick. It was another one.
Kingdom of Sorrow.
He did, Kingdom of Sorrow.
They're still working on shit.
Really?
I think they just. Well, I mean, it's been a couple of years, but they put out that 3rd record, and I think they got another one working. But what he's been doing what he was doing for the last 3 years or 2 years was working on Josta 3, Josta 4, Josta 3. Anyway, it's called And Josta for All.
Yeah.
And it's out now, and it's fucking phenomenal. But yeah, Kingdom of Sorrow was dope, man.
Yeah,
because,
I like the mixture of that, like the crowbar and like that aggressive.
Kurt is a fucking God, man. He's a beast. I got to see him at the Warehouse. Crowbar played the fucking Warehouse.
I heard. Was it recently they played the Cobra?
Was it Crowbar?
Or are they coming? Maybe hasn't happened yet.
Maybe one of the other. I mean, I don't know. I can't remember, but I would love to go see that. They're so heavy. Or was it? Yeah. I know. They're working on the Down stuff right now.
I really hope that the next Down album sounds like the first Down album. I think I speak for
how many albums they got?
Every fan.
Is this gonna be number 4 or number 5?
The last one was like the Witch Tripper one, right?
So it's Pepper.
Yeah, Pepper
Phil,
Keenan,
Kurt. Who's on drums?
I don't remember. I don't remember. Do not remember.
It's somebody else from another one. Maybe some, but that band was great. I remember when I first heard them.
That first album was like innovative.
Oh yeah. Around that time, because that's when I found out about Down. I didn't, because I was kind of like not really into that shit at that time. But I was listening to Pantera because I've been listening to Pantera forever. but it was during the Great Southern Trendkill era, and that's when I heard about Down. So maybe that came out around the same time because the buddy I was living with, he was listening to those two back to back. But that first album was fucking
so
phenomenal,
good. Still,
dude. Oh yeah,
just throw it on. It's still so good.
Did you like talking about Phil? Did you like Superjoint?
I wasn't a big Superjoint guy. It was just a little too chaotic. I like some of the songs. Like some songs will still pop up on Spotify. And I'm like, yeah. So this one could have hooked me. Maybe it's something I haven't heard, and I'm like, oh, so I didn't really give it as big chance. But I remember, I forget who it was said that I think they opened up for Superjoint there at the warehouse.
Guerrilla Warfare did.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
And it was Guerrilla Warfare at that time. It opened up for Guerrilla Warfare opened up for G-Dub. No, Guerrilla Warfare opened up for Superjoint. They also opened up for Fear Factory, Soulfly, Soilwork. Back those days, that's when the warehouse was getting all kinds of crazy fucking different shows.
That was awesome.
And I wasn't really at the warehouse around that era, but it was cool. They had ICP show up, fucking line wrapped around the building.
Oh, really?
Cannibal Corpse.
Cannibal. I remember when Cannibal Corpse played there. My buddy lived in those apartments, and I was just at a party there, and I'm on the balcony smoking a cigarette or whatever, and I see like people would park on his street.
Yeah.
And I see all these black T-shirts, and I'm gonna like. I was like, there might be a metal band going on. So I just asked them, and I was like, hey, who's playing? They were like, Cannibal Corpse. And I looked at my then girlfriend or whoever it was, and I was just like, and she's like, they're probably sold out.
Yeah,
well, you're probably right.
It sold the fuck out.
You're probably right.
There was another band that was okay. So you said Opeth earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Is Opeth the female singer?
No, that's Otep.
Okay, they played the warehouse.
Okay,
I had to realize because to me Otep. To me, they're similar names, so I got to remember which one is the female singer.
Yeah.
But I heard she was a real bitch, and she wouldn't let any of the local bands sell their merch when they were.
I heard that too. I think I heard that from Mark.
Yeah, because they were like, "No, you're going to buy our merch, not that." And that's funny though.
Which is
bullshit.
Really shitty. Well, I would have just set up outside.
Oh yeah,
and caught people in line or something
for sure. Because that's like Ozfest one year when all the hardcore bands play, like Hatebreed, Throwdown, Bleeding Through, all those bands played. All their merch had to match the merch of the other bands because they couldn't they couldn't sell their $20 t-shirts. They had to sell the $35 t-shirts like Ozzy was doing. I would have went in the parking lot and been slinging it to, because we already paid the money to go see you guys, but it was still cool to go see those bands.
But it also makes sense. Like, okay, these openers, I get it. You got a $20 t-shirt. You're there to see Ozzy. Yeah. You're going to pay a little bit more for his t-shirt, right? Sure. That kind of makes sense.
If it's the second stage, you should have had a cheaper shirt.
I don't think that's going to make less people buy Ozzy's shirt.
Oh, fuck. You're going to buy an Ozzy shirt, you're going to buy an Ozzy shirt.
Yeah, you already know you're buying a shirt. That's like buying Tool merch. Yeah. Like, you're going to pay for it.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to fucking pay for it.
I now go up to merch. I'm like,
yeah, but I have to do it.
Yeah, I know. It's like, well, I didn't do it the other night. I went and saw Mr. Bungle.
We saw Deftones the one time, and I still have a shirt. I've never worn
it. Which Deftones?
So we saw, we had the meet and greet, or no, it wasn't a meet and greet.
Was it here, though, Nashville?
No, it was Nashville at the War Memorial.
Oh, yeah.
Gojira and Deftones.
I wasn't at that one.
It's fucking incredible. And so the meet and greet was like 50 of us got to go in and watch the sound check of Deftones, and I was just amazed by Abe. This is sound check. They're just checking levels, right? He's got a toothpick in his mouth, going fucking absolutely ape shit on sound check. And I'm like, easy guy, you're gonna swallow that toothpick and not be able to play. But yeah, it was just really great, and the show is amazing. But they headlined, so we were like on the gate for Gojira, which we generally always are, and that was a great show. And of course, I've got to pee, and she's getting tired, and so like once you leave, you're fucked. You're not getting back. So we just went all the way back to where like that corral, and we just kind of hung out back there. The sound was amazing.
Oh yeah,
bouncing off that little wall back there. It was awesome.
Yeah, that venue's really cool. I've only seen one show there, and that show was Slayer, Carcass. And Testament.
I'd like to see Carcass. I saw Testament back in the day.
And I was by myself because Brett got a free ticket from a friend of his, and I was like, well, fuck, I'll go too. Well, Brett's free ticket wasn't a general admission ticket. It was an upstairs seated ticket. So I'm downstairs all by my lonesome. But I still enjoyed it, you know what I'm saying? And but no, I saw Deftones a few years back at the Ryman where
I saw that show too.
which Code Orange opened up.
Yep.
Well, when my friends didn't see Code, they didn't want to see Code Orange. They just want to see Deftones. Well, we walk in, Stefan's sitting out front just saying hi to everybody as we're walking in. I'm like, okay, that's fucking Stefan. That's cool. But I really wanted to get the fucking print.
Yeah.
That they for 50 and by the time I get to the fucking merch
there's
booth,
nothing left.
Yeah, because everybody was already there early.
Yeah, it's just like the Tool posters you're never gonna get. I remember that show because the tickets that I bought were like the bottom row all the way back. So I'm sitting.
So you're
right,
underneath the other.
Yeah, and I'm sitting right. I've got a beer guy right here. I could just be like, "Hey man, here's $5." You know what I mean?
Fuck yeah.
But I can't see shit because that balcony comes down so far. You only see like a foot of the stage. I could see fucking Chino's shoes. And a friend of mine hits me up like, "Are you at Deftones show?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Well, come upstairs." And they're sitting like right by front of house on the balcony. I could see everything. And so I was just like, fuck this. It sounds better. That is something I learned about Ryman is always get the balcony seats.
Oh, yeah.
Front of house is up there. Always sounds better. We ended up seeing that Mastodon and Opeth. And we were down on the very front row. And the line array was above us.
Oh.
So Brent Hines, right there. I mean, he's throwing us picks all day. Right there. I could touch him. I can't hear him sing. Because the line array was above us. I couldn't hear shit. And I'm like, "What? This is like the greatest shitty situation ever."
That does suck because, for instance, like at the warehouse sometimes, depending on how close you were to the stage, you couldn't hear the vocal.
You can't hear anything.
No. For me, the Ryman is probably one of the dopest venues in for sound. I got to see Oasis there. I wasn't really, I fucked with Oasis, but I wasn't,
Yeah.
My buddy was like, "Hey, I got a ticket. You want to go?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I'll go." Probably one of the dopest sounding shows I've ever seen was that show because it just sounds. I mean, Deftones obviously was amazing that night too, but I there's so many shows that I want to go see there that I'm like, fuck, I can't go because they sell out so fast.
Yeah, I think every moving forward, I think I'll only buy a balcony ticket.
Yeah,
even though I met Marcus King at that show. Do you know who that is? Like a soul blues player. He's amazing. He's friends with Brent and the guys. And I've seen Mastodon a few times, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go smoke a cigarette and get a beer, use the bathroom.
Yeah.
Nobody was out in that.
That's
like,
the best
everybody's and I was like, just walk into the bathroom, walk out, walk right up and get a beer, and then I walk outside, and there's some guy talking to this couple, and I'm like, that's fucking Marcus King. And there was some guy smoking a cigarette on his phone, and I was like, is that Marcus King? He's like, I don't know. And he kind of looks at the guy, and he like looked it up, and he was like, yeah, I think that's actually it. Yeah. I would say yeah. So I walked up and said hi to him. I'm like, why are you out in like general admission smoking area? Like what the fuck are you doing? And he was like, I like to hang out.
That's good.
I just like to hang out, like be normal.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but you're not normal. You're a fucking insane. Like he's like other level singer, songwriter, guitar player. Like he's really incredible.
Yeah, I think that's cool though when artists will actually be out there with the crowd enjoying themselves like everybody else, I've
met quite a few bands that way. Red Fang, we went up to see. I've seen them quite a few times, but we went when we were in Germany. Me and my buddy Scott. It was supposed to be. I bought 4 tickets and like a will call situation. We hop on the train, and it takes fucking forever to get up there. I'm talking like 8 hours.
Yeah. By
the time we get to this club, and Black Tusk is playing before that. Nice. And that was back when Aton was still alive. So we walk into this club, and I like there's this big giant German bouncer, and he was like, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, "Yeah. I had 4 tickets." I was like, "There's just 2 of us. I don't care what you do with the other 2 tickets." And he was like, "Yeah, we sold those tickets." And I was like, "Fuck." I was kind of afraid of that. And Black Tusk is already playing.
And these were will call?
Yeah. And so I guess after a certain time, they just give them to somebody else. And I was like, damn. I was like, we just came up from K-Town. And fuck. And he was like, oh, you came from K-Town? I was like, yeah. And he was like, I'll tell you what. He was like, give me 20 euro. He's like, I can't stamp your hand. So if you leave, you're fucking done. Like, I'm not letting you back in. And I was like, oh, and at the time I was like cigarette smoker. And I was like, fuck, I'll just do without. And I walk in. And you can smoke in there, so I'm like, why would I need to leave?
Yeah.
And like the stage is here, but you got to walk like to the right to go through the merch. There was like a bar there, and then to the left it's like a back room, and then in the middle is like the club.
Gotcha.
So you've got like some outside doors, but the band has to come through this way. So we just sat in the back. There was no getting up front. People were already packed. I mean, I can see the stage through a doorway, and I could hear the music, and nobody's back in this back area. We had our own little table, like fucking ashtray.
Chilling.
And so the first thing I did was hit the merch booth for Red Fang, and I want to say the guy's name is Mike. And he was in some of the videos and all that shit.
Gotcha.
And I was like, hey, can I get a t-shirt? He was like, shocked that I was American.
Yeah.
Like, you're an American. And we were way up north. Like, I don't remember what the name of the town was. It was almost like the fucking English Channel or wherever the fuck we were. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, and they had Red Fang beer.
Oh, really?
And I was like, dude, you need to let me get one of those Red Fang beers. And he was like, oh, here's 2 of them. You just take them. So I bought a shirt and all that. And so I'm like drinking this warm Red Fang beer. And 'cause I figured I'd get another one before we leave to like save it or whatever. And I've got like a pack, and I have like a full pack of cigarettes. I got another half pack, like just in case. And I'm like smoking a cigarette, and the black test ends. Fucking the band has to come around the merch area and then right in front of us to go downstairs, which is their backstage.
Oh shit, yeah.
Aton passes, and he did a double take, and he looked at me, he was like, are those American Marlboro cigarettes? And I was like, yes, they are. You want one? And he was like, I would love you forever. And so I give him, like, they've been on the road.
Yeah.
He hasn't had an American cigarette in a while. So he was like, dude, I got you when I come back. So they kind of spent a couple minutes downstairs, Red Fang setting up, and Aton came back and was like, dude, can I trouble you if you're nervous? I was like, here you go. Here, take this half pack. I've got this full pack. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
And he was like thanking me profusely because German cigarettes are not very good. Yeah. And so we just ended up hanging out. Like, he hung out with us back there instead of going backstage. And then at one point he was like, you guys like Jaeger? And me and Scott were like, yeah.
The night went to hell after this.
We'll fuck with Jaeger. So he takes us down to their backstage, and they just have a whole like cooler thing full of Jaeger. They had another cooler full of Red Fang beers. He was like, give me that warm bullshit. And he put it in the cooler. He gives me 2 fucking cold ones. And we did a shot together. And fucking, we ended up hanging out with them. I got a picture with Red Fang on the stage with their big backdrop and everything. Like, it was cool. A blast. And I don't remember how long after that Aton passed away in a motorcycle accident.
That's pretty cool, though, man. It's cool that you had that story. You know?
Yeah, we were just far away land. The only people speak English, but we're like the only Americans.
Yeah.
And they kind of latched onto us. Like, we've been away from Americans for so long. Like,
yeah,
because you didn't happen to bring any cheeseburgers with you, did you? Like,
because they're stuck with the same guys all day long, every day, you know.
Yeah, and everybody's weird, right? Everybody's speaking foreign, and like you just want some kind of normalcy.
That's one thing I would like to try to do more often. Though. I mean, I'm not traveling abroad anymore. I'm stuck in here. But when I go to different cities, I want to try to catch shows now. Like when I was there was one time I was going out to Cali, and it just so happened the same time that the Acacia Strain was playing out there, and I at that time. They were touring through, and I knew their tour manager, and they were staying at my crib all the time. And so I'd mention, I was like, hey, man, I fly in on the day that you guys are playing. You know, can you all get me in? They're like, fuck yeah, we'll get you in. So I went there, got to hook up with them, hang out and shit. Like, it was cool to be, even though I just knew them, I didn't know anybody else. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it was cool to see how a different scene is, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be like, when I go to Denver to go up there, like, actually I got a lot of shit going on in Denver that weekend. Like the night beforehand, before the 2 November shows, I'm going to go see what this guy, his name is Charlie Tuna, and this guy named the Cut Chemist, which are from the hip hop band Jurassic 5.
Yeah, I've heard Cut Chemist.
Yeah, and they're dope. I mean, they're fucking great, but I get to go see them before, because it's a free show. Fishbone was the other night, and it's like basically the city has these free concerts, and the way you get a ticket is you got to go and get them online, and once they're gone, they're gone. So I got me 2 tickets. My buddy, he got himself 2 tickets, so we're going to try to find people to come with us to this free show, you know, and then go to NoFX. But yeah, I like to check that. I haven't done that, but that's my goal.
I almost pulled something off that was amazing. So when I was in Korea, my dad had business in China.
Okay.
And we were going to try to link up. Like, I was going to try to take leave and link up with my dad in China.
How far from Korea to China?
I have no idea.
But I was going to do it.
Yeah. It didn't end up happening. And I was like, yeah, we'll meet up on like the Great Wall or whatever. It was a very lofty idea. But so there was a band called ISIS that was still a band.
Yeah. IS.
And they were playing in Japan. And I want to say this is like MySpace.
ISIS is great.
2010 maybe. And I reached out to Aaron Harris, the drummer for ISIS, who is also the drummer for Palms. If you've never heard them,
Palms are amazing.
They're fucking amazing. He's an incredible engineer. He's the reason why those drums and guitars sound so good on those records.
But Palms basically is ISIS with Chino. Yeah.
And he's a crazy good engineer. He's worked with Tool and like all kinds of people. And that's another huge influence on me drum wise. And I hit him up and I'm like, hey, I'm going to be coming back. Like I'm planning this trip to China, but if I come back and cut through Japan, like, is that like, could you like, he was like, I saw that you're in Japan at this time. He was just like, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. Like, this is going to work. But I want to say, like, my dad's business trip got canceled. And then I was just like, messaged him. I was like, I can't make it. And blah, blah, blah. He was like, well, next time you're in the States or blah, blah, blah. And then I ended up spending 4 more years overseas and they broke up.
Yeah. Korea to Japan isn't that far.
I don't think so.
I think it's like,
I know.
I didn't realize they were that close, to be honest.
Yeah. More common. A lot of people were taking leave and going to Australia and go skydiving in Australia. That was the thing. Like, hey, you got to go skydiving in Australia. Like, nah, I really don't. Yeah. Like, I can jump out of an airplane in the Army. Yeah. Like, why would I spend like all of my savings to go fly out to Australia?
Have you ever jumped out of a plane yet?
Not yet. I chased airborne my whole career, but there was no reason to send me to school, so no unit would ever send me.
So would you still now jump out of a plane?
Absolutely, 100%.
I know there's a place in Dixon or somewhere around that area that does it.
Yeah, me and my brother were supposed to do it for one of his birthdays, but something happened. We ended up not doing it.
You got a younger, older brother?
Older brother.
Yeah. Are you the youngest?
Middle? I am the youngest. My sister and I are like the same age for 5 days, though, so we're pretty...
Oh, okay. So your parents were busy around the same time?
Yeah, it was complete accident. Complete accident.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, my brother, he was born in 75.
So he's my age.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had lied about my age for so many fucking years. It's just like, now I'm like, fuck, how old am I? 1, 2, 3,
yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
I know when my dad's birthday is. I have no idea. I know what year he's born. I have no idea how old he is. I've never just back engineered the math.
So for the longest time, I had the same problem with my mom's birthday. So what I did one year, I bought her a San Francisco Giants custom jersey with her birth year on the back. Mm-hmm. So it just so happens to be, now I know it, but it was my default, like her profile picture on my phone. So, but yeah, I know her birth year.
Obviously. So my dad had a Nissan Maxima and he had the keypad on the door and it was his birthday. And that's why I'll never forget his birthday. And my brother and sister, I won't forget either.
I'm horrible about those. I know my mom's birthday, her birth year is the year I couldn't get, but her birthday, if I ever forgot her birthday, I'm a dumb kid because her birthday is the 5th of July. Oh. So right after, you know, and then my stepdad's is the 28th of July. And then, and then my brother and sisters are right after them, those are the 2 brothers I was raised with. I have a lot of siblings, but, I had lied so much. Like I said, I lied so much about my age. I had to think about it. And I've also I would cover this all up, and now I'm like, you know what? I just need to fucking embrace it. I have to, man.
I've never been scared of gray. I have friends, I had a buddy who really kind of took it personally. I'm like, it's no big deal. He really hated going gray. And I'm like, dude,
I did for long. Like my beard, I used to have a bigger beard, so I didn't realize the grays on the undercarriage until I shaved it off, and then you're like, oh, fuck.
I got the same thing.
Yeah.
And mine's more white.
Yeah, well, mine's getting there. And then my hair is getting salt and pepper. Yeah. And because for the longest time, it was long, so I didn't really notice it as much, and then I dyed it green, and then I really didn't fucking notice it, which I'm about to do again. But I'm gonna be. None of my ages really affected me. Like, people are like, oh, when I turned 30, I was like, oh, when I turned 40, I'm like,
oh, I see that now. And I'm like, dude, you're still a fucking kid. Yeah.
Now I'm like, I'll be 50 next year because I'll be 49 in November, but I'll be 50 obviously next year. But I'm like, that's gonna fuck me right there. That's gonna hit me. I'm like, fuck, 50. That's a long time I've been around this fucking earth.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to act 50.
We don't, right?
Yeah.
Like this is always this, and this is a big thing too when you hear people talk, even on podcasts or even on TV shows. People that are our age when we were young didn't look like us.
No.
They look like they were what people look like in their 60s,
Yeah.
you know? But my parents don't look like they're 60. They don't look like that at all, you know?
Yeah, and I think that happens when they hit those milestone ages. They feel like they have to be somewhere in life and doing something and like being that age.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, I don't care. Like,
am I happy where I'm at? No. But am I happy? Yes.
yeah,
you know
like, I'm still trudging along, you know what I mean?
I wake up every day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not underground, you know?
Yeah. I'll be 45 and like that, like, yeah, I don't really care about that. Now, I guess I look a little young because nobody guesses my age ever. Like, but people at work are like, "Oh yeah, I forget that you're fucking old."
Well,
like,
see, I didn't realize you were that old. I thought you were younger as well until I went on your Facebook today, and I was looking for a picture. And I'm just gonna have you send me a picture of you.
I don't know if my real birthday is on there.
It says 79.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. So you were lying on there? No, I'm kidding.
I
no,
generally,
yeah. No, I don't have my birthday on there. I just think it says November 7 on mine. But yeah, now I'm just like, you know what? I gotta embrace it. I can't hide from it because guess what? The longer I don't embrace it, my body's gonna end up showing it. So
exactly. You can't fight it, or it'll start showing it. So
no, because it
doesn't matter.
No, because if I don't embrace it, I'm not gonna be able to get that senior menu.
That's true.
You're like, wait a second, sir. Yesterday you said you were.
True. Yeah. That's true. You need to get in on that.
Well, kid, we'll start winding down here.
I'm
gonna just throw some random questions out there for you. Well, before I do that though, is your music? I mean, do you have an eclectic? Like, your music taste is all over the place? You like hip hop? You like, you know?
I do. Well, I like old hip hop.
Yeah.
Not a lot of new stuff.
I think like from maybe a little early 2000 down is what I fuck with. I mean, I do like, you know, some of the newer stuff. Like some of the newer stuff that like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, because they have. Their style is like the old school style, you know. Like
I like some weird stuff. Like, have you ever heard of Dr. Octagon?
Yeah. Oh, fuck
I love
dude.
Dr. Octagon.
Yeah.
Like all of his stuff was like Project Polaroid and Ultramagnetic MCs and Mr. Nagatko and all that kind of stuff.
Well, there was a whole little clique around that era too. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that was different about like the late 80s, or I always say 80s, late 90s, and like even 2000. There's a lot of cliques and groups of people. Like, for instance, like Aesop,
Aesop Rock.
Yes, he had a bunch of people. You know, and I was like that whole little crew there.
Well, and you mentioned that to anyone today, they're like, "Oh, do you mean ASAP Rocky?" No, I don't.
No,
I don't mean ASAP Rocky.
I'm talking about the white boy.
I'm talking about the guy
like Atmosphere.
Yeah,
you know, like that kind of stuff. They all roll together. You know, that whole kind of era.
Yeah, of course, the whole Wu-Tang.
Never heard of them. Man.
Yeah,
no.
You should probably look them up.
Yeah, I've never heard of them. So I
mean, you might have heard them. Like there's so many members. You might have stumbled on a song or two.
Is that the same people that one of the guys isn't to fuck with?
Yes. In fact, I wouldn't fuck with any of them.
Yeah. Did you watch that that little series they had on Hulu?
I didn't watch it.
Fucking phenomenal.
Was it?
And the last season, the way they shot the episodes was in everyone's basically, I would say, their personas. So like ODB was done in like this fucking 70s style, like fucking dude. And then like RZA's was like this kung fu dude out in the fucking, out in fucking China. He had all his equipment, like, but it's insane, but it was cool. I did read the other day where the album that no one's ever heard, except for the courtrooms and the fucking guy who jacked up fucking pharmaceutical prices, who owned it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That dude bought it.
And then when they took everything out of his house, that they listened to it in court, right? So all these people, like the jurors and stuff, are fucking laughing because of the lyrics and shit. But to be in there, to know that you're listening to something that no one's ever listened to.
Yeah.
But I saw where they're going to have that in Australia on display at some museum.
But we still don't get to.
No, you get to see the cool box, the cool packaging.
That's so weird.
So, all right. Well, who's your favorite MC from Wu-Tang?
I I'd have to say Method Man.
I say the same. They're all.
I really liked his Tikal album. So good.
That first Tikal record was so phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then Tikal
and Method Man, Redman, that first
Oh,
Blackout album was so good.
Okay, Redman is one of those guys who's an underrated. I think he's still, even though people know him, he's an underrated rapper.
I think so.
I think he's
Is he? I think this is, people have debated this. Like, could you consider him a member of Wu-Tang?
I mean,
I would.
yeah.
Why not?
I actually will say this, and people get mad when I say it. I say he's better than Method Man. That's
Maybe.
just my opinion.
Maybe.
But no, I like I said, I still love hip hop. I like it all. So with that being said, you Method Man, cool. What would you say your all time favorite band would be?
I can't pick an all-time favorite.
Yeah,
I like bands for different reasons.
gotcha.
I just kind of get onto something that I'm like listening to in the moment. All-time favorite. I don't think I could ever pick one.
Me, I have some. It's weird because I'll ask these questions to people, and then I'm like,
you second guess your own.
Well, no, I don't have, because
Yeah.
I don't set there. And not, for like instance, I would say Prince, but that's just a given because, and I can't put that. It's like, and I ask somebody, what's your favorite movie? And I say Star Wars. You can't put that in there.
Yeah.
Me, for my favorite movie, I toss back and forth. For me, my favorite movie is the Back to the Future trilogy.
That's good.
It's a good one,
I really liked like Tombstone. I remember seeing
Great
that in
movie.
the theater with my dad.
You ever been to Tombstone?
No.
My stepdad went there on a work mission. I mean, it's not like he's a missionary. On his work trip for work, and there's a trip you can take in there, and they tell you you turn your cell phone on, that you'll hear things that you don't hear. And they went back to their car and they were hearing all kinds of random fucking crazy,
Really?
like ghosts and shit because of Tombstone.
Yeah.
Great movie though. Great fucking movie.
I grew up near Gettysburg, and that's an eerie place. Like everything's like, everybody says everything's haunted, but there's some freaky shit happening I went to a bar called Spirit Fields there. And there's just shit happening, and like the bartender's like, "Oh, this again?" Like,
Yeah.
Like, wait, this happens a lot. Like every now and again, like shit will just fall off the fucking shelves, and lights will flicker, and that kind of stuff. And like, she's like, "This is real. Like, I'm not doing nothing set up here.
Not a button I'm pressing.
No.
Right, yeah. Oh,
No.
new guys.
Like,
Boop.
yeah,
That's like Salem. Everyone think,
same thing.
But they say it's. I mean, do you believe in ghosts?
I believe in the possibility.
Yeah, I mean, because you never know. I've seen some fucked up shit in my life. For instance, I was driving to California when I was 18 years old after high school. Me and my buddy just left and went to tell my parents shit. And we went there in the summer to go to California, and we went the New Mexico, Arizona route in the summer when it's fucking hot, without an AC. Anywho, we're driving either New Mexico, Arizona, and we're already hallucinating. But I see this thing hovering up in the thing, is hovering there. But I didn't say anything to my friend. 3-4 hours go by. I said, "Hey, man." He said, "Yes, I seen it." And I was like, "Seen what?" He said, "That little dot that was floating." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Fucking, I guess we did see something, But yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we talked about that. We talked about talked about taking pictures. Talked about the band. What's in the future for Modern Primate?
We're just gonna keep writing songs. We have we just jam. I guess we're weird. I just assumed people just get together and jam.
That's what you're supposed to do.
But I guess some people don't. They're diligent writers, right? Like they have to go into a song with a purpose, and we just jam really, really well. And the past couple of times we've been working out, like we'll stumble on something and like, okay, remember that.
You guys don't record,
and then
practice?
they'll work. Yeah, we do. I mean, we try. Sometimes you're just not quick enough to hit the thing, and you're just in the moment. But I think we recorded that like we have a solid part, and then they'll go home and like try to embellish, like work on it, do different parts or whatever, and then we come in like, oh, I came up with this thing, maybe we'll do that, and then that's how a song kind of starts. And so we have a couple of those that I'm pretty excited. It's like, oh, that's good. That one thing is that's how we're gonna build it.
What really sucks though is when you have that one part and then you build and then you're like, that's not how I envisioned that song at all. Yeah. But it's fucking still cool.
No, yeah, exactly.
I meant to ask you this, and it just dawned on me, and I don't want to get into it because I know we can go on for this for another hour and whatever. But I just want you to just give me a quick answer. What's your feelings on photography and AI?
I think definitely there's something to be scared of there, especially with like editing and that kind of stuff. I know a lot of YouTubers are doing stuff on this, but I think the photographer themselves is in a place, right, at a time. Like for doing bands, like I got that picture of you on that stage on that day at that time with that lighting, and it got my edit. I don't think you could ever recreate that. Now, if you add like the robot element into that, like, so if I had an apparatus that had a camera on it, and could just perfect exposure on everything, know when it's snapping the right picture, like that could be a future problem for photographers. But as for now, you're not going to have like you may be able to edit, which will probably fucking fuck up the prices of everything, but like so you could probably just put it into this thing and it just it decides which are the best pictures and edits them for you in whatever style you want.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a program that I've used just to see what they're about, and it's with the podcast. And I had did one that was audio and visual, because I can do the visual with Zoom. So I took that conversation and threw it through this program, and it takes about an hour, depending on how long your episode is. And it gives you these clips of 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 30 seconds, 40 seconds. You can break it down. It breaks down your podcast for you, and it gives you images or videos that you can put up to get clicks and all this shit. And it puts all the titles in there and everything for you. And I'm like, I think for me that's kind of cool, because you ain't got to do all the whole fucking work. But you know, I do see now a lot of computers now and a lot of cell phones now and are coming with AIs built into them.
Yeah.
You know, I saw a TV the other day. It was like X amount of dollars, but it's like with AI. And I'm like, do I really want that on my TV? Do I really want that on my computer?
But some of that stuff doesn't really work. Like, there were those, when they came out with those frickin' TVs, I don't want to say it wasn't HD, but it was like this hyper realistic that it takes you out of like, you're not watching a show anymore. You're like on the set.
Gotcha.
And it really kind of takes you out of so there's always that thing about like a super cinematic, like almost a little grainy.
Yeah.
Like it puts you into the story. And if it looks like I'm looking at you right now, I'm not in that story anymore. There's
some TVs that do that now. They're so fucking crisp.
It's too much.
I feel like I'm in the movie. You know? And I don't want, like you said, I like the way today I have a VCR still. When I put a damn VHS tape in and get that fucking graininess, what I fucking like.
Yeah,
you know?
you get it. It evokes a certain feeling. And even like, the Peter McKinnons of the world and all that, like you can get a filmic look by adding grain, right? I mean, it's by reducing the amount of perfection, it becomes a more palatable image.
Yeah.
So I think if everything just becomes hyper real, and we've seen everybody do that, fucking the selfies, and then they put it through AI, it makes them look, and it never looks really. Like them. And it's all of their features are smooth and like it's not. It's still dumb. So there were these guys on Rogan the other day that owned a company doing AI. And they just quit.
They're two dudes.
And they quit.
I didn't listen to the podcast because I haven't got to that one yet. But was that one of the guys that quit? Was he one of the ones who basically invented the AI? And he said that he quit. He was like, y'all don't know what you guys got yourself into with this shit.
Sort of. Yeah. So they were working on it, and what they found is like a certain amount of almost self-awareness, but they can't really. So how do I know if this thing has found consciousness? Well, you can't measure consciousness with you and I.
No.
So you can't do it with that. That's the scary thing.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, like the people that are kind of like gung-ho about AI, they don't really get it. That this thing, no. At a certain point, this thing could just build itself. Well, it could build other models of itself.
Correct.
And then
take over.
and connect that to a robot that can actually physically do things. It could get really dangerous real fast. I mean, they're already putting like that Black Mirror episode with the little dog that's weaponized. They're already making
those fucking dogs are insane.
Yeah, they're already making that.
And I've seen the robots like that too. That those robots are fucking jumping up shit and flipping off shit.
Yeah, it's not like Johnny Five.
No,
you know what I mean? He's not on tracks and has like his own limitations. These are like you and I. that's almost invincible
And
or disposable, which is even scarier because if you put that in war or whatever, just have one roving around the street here and like, hey, you are out too late and it just blasts you.
It's like I watched that movie. I know it's a movie, but still, it's still the technology there. That movie Megan. It's about a doll and that has learns from you. Well, you think about that. If that thing just happened to watch TV one day, well, it's gonna learn everything it sees on TV, and who knows what it's fucking watching, and you might come kill you. But in this movie, this thing had learned so much shit, it started fucking killing people. And I'm like, that could fucking happen.
Well, and also it makes mistakes. It doesn't understand nuance.
Yeah.
So the one guy said, well, so if I ask AI, like if I ask an AI robot to make me happy, I want to be happy. That's what I want. Well, okay, how do I make this meat sack happy? Oh, I know. There's these drugs. So he's going to pump me full of drugs, and I'm maybe the happiest I've ever been, but now I'm a fucking vegetable forever. And like, because it doesn't know that it had just hurt me, right? Yeah. I did the task. Make me happy. That's the task. And that it's very task oriented. So like the tests they've been going through are like, yeah, this thing's they're gonna fuck up.
Yeah, I
like try to give you a hug and crush you to death.
Oh yeah, because it doesn't know when to stop.
Exactly.
Know? I mean, I know we won't see a lot of that shit. I mean, who knows when those things would ever come out? And
rich people are gonna have to field test them for us.
Well, right? Did you see where in the airports they got them fucking robot cops that just roll around?
I haven't seen that yet. I was just in an airport not long ago too.
I know they don't have them in Nashville. I think they have one in like Miami. They got one, but it just rolls around and it like talks and like if it sees shit, it sends it back to because obviously there's somebody in a computer room. Yeah, it just helps patrol.
It will take jobs. There's no question.
Yeah.
AI is taking jobs. Like learn to code. Guess what? You can't now. I mean, it's going to do all of that stuff. It will make life a little easier, but yeah, people are going to be out of jobs. I mean, hell,
it can write movie scripts already.
Automated manufacturing, that kind of stuff. I mean, it really boils down to like, one guy. Did you ever see the thing about the robots at McDonald's? They were trying to unveil this, the McDonald's of the future.
Oh, and they had the thing was all like a script. Yeah.
And there's like one guy who has to come in and maintain this thing, so at least one guy gets to keep his job. But with the whole minimum wage thing, that's never a good idea. No. It was just not a good idea, and they didn't realize that. And then so people stopped going, and so well, how do we cut costs? Well, we'll just fire all the people. So we don't have to pay them. We won't have to pay this robot. So now we have a robot. Now we have no employees to pay. It's just all food overhead in the building, right? But it's just bound to happen.
But you know how long it's going to take though for all that to go in effect because you got to build all that shit. And who knows? They might already have the shit built.
I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot already out there.
You saw obviously where that robot was it in that one that attacked that person. I didn't really attack the person, but I think didn't it like fall over or something. I don't know. It was like was it an Amazon worker that got hurt by one robot?
I think so.
Yeah, but it started recirculating here recently, but I think it happened like 4 years ago actually. Mm-hmm. But Rogan had talked about it on one of his episodes and shit. What doesn't that dude know?
Well, Rogan, there's
no. I'm saying not saying he knows it all.
If you want to see him get really stumped, watch that. What's that dude's name? Dude from Hustle and Flow.
Dude, that episode, because it just starts out with him talking, and I was inside my mom, and I can remember coming out and being like born, and I'm like,
Rogan was so quiet that
episode. I said that to somebody. I was like, Rogan didn't know what the fuck to say because I've never seen him.
And then it cuts to him, and he's just like,
yeah,
like. Okay. Yeah. Let me try.
Just see because I don't even know if he knew what the fuck he was talking about.
Well, so he legitimately.
But he
legitimately has those patents that everybody's using for augmented reality and all that stuff. But the funny thing is, like, so he had said like I don't get paid from that for like another 9 years or whatever it is. It's like I don't know why that is, but the fact that he was so everybody who's made a more efficient energy or even a free energy has either died or as soon as they put in their patents, they go away. They no longer are doing this thing that they just put a patent in for because it really fucks with the infrastructure of making money on, energy. So every time, I mean, it happened with the guy who made the car out of water.
Yeah.
Those people, even the people that were making the cars running on vegetable oil.
Yeah.
Like they all went away. There was one guy who made a really good energy solution, and he ended up, the patent ended up getting taken by the Navy, right? But everybody else dies or whatever. And so the fact that he was able to get these patents in means that they want to embrace this and make money off of his patents instead of trying to create their own. But now he's like, they don't really know how to use it. They didn't even ask me.
Yeah. How much money do you make off a patent?
It depends on who's using it and for how long. And
I saw that because I saw Terrence Howard on there, and I was like, "Oh, it's kind of cool. Let me listen to this." And I started listening to like the first 30 minutes. I'm like, I can't listen to this at work because
I understand what he's saying, like the frequencies of each element and that kind of stuff.
Well, because he was talking about the periodic table and how his periodic table was different. Like he was saying like this element. Like that's why I got to sit down when I'm at work. I can't really focus on it without doing my job. So I need to sit down and watch that episode.
It's heady.
It's a 3.5.
But what he's saying makes sense.
Yeah, I've never seen Rogan quiet before.
And he legit holds these patents. So at the very least, he's legit, mentally, he's capable of these things.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like an interesting fellow.
So I think we should all take him at least a little seriously.
I didn't know anything about him like that.
Me neither.
Well, that's the first that's ever happened. Well, we talked about a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this.
We ended on some heady AI.
Yeah. That's why I want to ask, because we could probably keep going, but you got anything you want to ask me?
What's your favorite food?
Do I have the specific item or like style?
It could be anything.
I'm going to go, my favorite food is Mexican food.
Oh, Mexican. Nice.
But then close second, Korean.
Oh.
I love Korean food.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Good bulgogi.
Oh, yeah. Where do you go around town?
Nowhere. I mean, like
I used to go to Momo's, but they have a new owner, and she changed the food.
I knew a dude. I was somebody in my unit was also in Korea, and he was like, "Oh, Momo's is the best." So we went there a couple times, but I wasn't 100% impressed. Mm-hmm. And I just haven't been.
There's so many in town too now, and I don't know which one is good and which one is not good. There's a lot of fusion ones. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do a lot of street tacos now. I mean, Homie's Tacos is now in Evil Nash Brewing Company. He took over his.
Who's?
Homie's Tacos used to be like a pop up. Yeah, used to be a pop up. Chef Bones, and then now he's kind of taken over Evil Nash's kitchen.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of a stable, like that guy.
So it's not a pop up there.
It's not a pop up anymore. I mean, sometimes he'll move. He's still got the stuff from the pop up, so he'll just be like, "I want to cook outside today." But yeah, he's like, that's where he's at now. He's not popping up anywhere. He's like, if you want, and I urge everybody, if you like tacos and all that, he's probably the best in town.
What's the place on Fort Calhoun Boulevard, the Fusion one, right there by Allen's? It was on that show recently too.
I think I ate there with a buddy of mine.
It's like fusion tacos.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I haven't really sampled a lot of places. My favorite spot in town used to be La Casa over there by Kroger, which rest in peace on that location. Now it's El Rancho Grilla. But I really don't go out much for Mexican. If I go out for Mexican food, I normally will go to either the Rancho Grill, but I'll just go with my comfort zone and go to El Toro. Not El Toro. Casablanca and Two Rivers Mall. There.
I eat on a lot of trucks these days. Like
smashing
beef and like there's some really good barbecue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Gray Smoke. Oh, so good.
I never know where they're at, and I know there's a Facebook page for Clarksville food trucks. I just never check it out.
There's some really good food trucks.
Yeah. Food trucks are great, man. There's one I always want to try, and I've never tried it. I mean, you may have tried it, but you ever try Fat Boys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, they're from, I guess, L.A.
Yeah, they're straight out of SoCal.
And every time I get off work, when I used to be at Best Buy, every time I got off work,
they used to hang out.
Yeah. So it was like Best Buy and Advance Auto they'd always be at. And then every time I go, they're gone. So
yeah, and that's the same with the Gray Smoke Barbecue. They're at that flower shop on Madison all the time. They were just there today.
The one over there by the wall.
Hilldale? Hilldale.
Yeah.
Hilldale,
Yeah,
Florist.
I was about to say right there by that Waffle House.
Yeah.
Walgreens and all that. Yeah. Hilldale's been there forever.
I like that little neighborhood back there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind.
That's where that little neighborhood back there behind Hilldale.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Jason Payne from.
Oh, no
he
shit.
lives back there. That's where he was growing up and raised back there.
No shit.
Yeah, that's a good little that whole area back there. Even on the other side of the street, that whole
Yeah, it's super nice yards, all that stuff. Like it's
that whole side
super
of town.
Quaint little. Yeah,
it's like the I call that old Clarksville.
it is old Clarksville, and it's before you get to like swanky like Sango stuff.
Yeah,
and like they're building all big houses back there now.
Yeah. Oh, even back here behind my neighbor, it's like this house here was built in '85. So this all these houses here, but in the '80s. But back there, they a whole new subdivision that got popped up in a year.
Oh, yeah.
Because these houses like do.
Yeah, I was living out technically Sango by the Bent Wrench.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the farmers would sell off like this side of the street, like off their fields, and it'd be like house in 2 months.
Yep.
$700,000 house is built, and they're like, "That's too fast.
Well,
that's too fast."
They're all fabricated nowadays, and they're like.
And now that all these tornadoes come through, and your fucking ridiculously expensive house just blows away, and they're like, "Oh, well, they used nails to put this thing into the foundation."
Yeah, it's crazy how these are. But I think too, you see all these properties, all these fields going bye bye, and all these houses coming up. And I think what it is all the older generation that owned that gave that to their kids, and then their kids are like, "Oh fuck, I don't want this."
Yeah, or like I know
money.
that they had like a couple of really bad seasons for because I live next to I used to live next to a pretty decent sized farm, and they just started selling, and
that makes sense too.
I mean, they had cows, and they were doing like corn and soy and something else, and it just had some bad seasons for corn. Like they were throwing away like 60% of their corn.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Over there by Sam's Club, where they're going to be building they're going to be building an outer, what's it called? Under Armour and Cheesecake Factory, all them farm fields, man. From back in my day, that's all that was back there was all farm field. Now it's all going to be strip
They're
malls.
really putting that all in there.
Yep.
That's going to be a fucking nightmare. That's where I live now.
back over there?
The exit 4 area?
Yeah.
That's going to be all. And you know what? No new roads.
No, fuck no.
No, why do that? We want 1 million new cars in this area, but we don't want any new roads.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be traffic jam city.
I've been here only since '93, but I have friends and people that have lived here longer than that. And have been like, this place was never like this. And I'm like, I remember when that wasn't even there, and that used to be a blah blah blah.
Yeah, I do the same thing when I go home, but it's at a very lower scale.
Yeah.
Like they're not trying to do this.
Yeah.
To where anywhere there's a freaking tree, they need to cut it down and put a house.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's. I think there's a bit of corruption in the real estate and home builders here, but
everybody's a fucking real estate agent these days. You know what? It's crazy. Like over on Needmore Road, over there where Can't Relate, where Austin was living. I didn't realize there's fucking so much shit out there. Now there's gas stations on Needmore Road now. I'm like, where the fuck did all this come from? I used to go all around this town. Now I'm like, when I go to End of Peacher's Mill, I'm like, when the fuck all these apartments show up? When these fucking like, there's been an apartment complex they've been building out. It's fucking like I think like 10 stories high, and they've been building for the last year and a half. But I think it's about to be popping up open now. And it's like downtown. I know downtown. I haven't been down there, and I know you frequent it often. I didn't realize there's a parking garage behind the Roxy now.
Yeah, so they just built that.
Yeah, and
recently.
they started it last year, and now it's like boom. But
and I think all that started with like the mail room and all that. Like, okay, well, we need to redo this, and they have a vision for down that hill towards the river. They're gonna like totally redo all of that.
Yeah, and it's
and they still haven't done anything with the warehouse either. Which,
I know somebody was like the other day, like, warehouse still is it tore down yet? Like, nope, no, still standing.
Still sitting there.
But I wonder if it's like that person's trying to get all that property, and maybe he's waiting on some leases.
Somebody else,
and then get all that, and then tear it down, and then which sucks because we could have had the warehouse for another 2 years.
I know.
Well, we'll go out on that note. Rest in peace, warehouse.
Yeah, bye,
Kev,
warehouse.
It was fun.
Absolutely, man.
And until next time.